We're going. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 208 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
What's up, crisis actors? It's Mary. I am wearing a hat.
I am not. We decided to switch today.
I love it.
Yeah, we're keeping you on your toes.
Yes.
I kind of love it. Makes the headphones a little more comfy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a new vibe.
I was going to say, it's a vibe, as the
It's
kids
a
would
vibe,
say.
yeah.
As the kids would say. And that voice you hear next to me, that is our guest host today. Would you introduce yourself, please?
That sonorous tone, that dulcet voice, is Lydia Sour Patch Lids from Timcast IRL. And I'm with you guys today, which I love doing. I love talking about the cultural stuff. Because as we all know, politics is in fact downstream from culture.
I've heard that saying before.
I have too.
Is it true that you were hired on to do cultural research originally?
So originally I helped Tim find, I helped him find cultural topics for his last few videos of the day. Because it's always challenging.
Fun.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
It's good stuff.
So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We got to talk about the absolute L. The L. All around. That is this hilarious Adam Levine situation. I know that
literally
sounds
no winners in this situation. Only
Anything to do with
losers.
Adam
only losers.
Levine.
And believe it or not, the number one being us because we're talking about Adam Levine in the year 2022. But we're going to get into that.
I don't mind spending every day.
That's beautiful.
Cheating on
Thank
my
you.
wife.
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know.
Instagram
models,
with
yeah.
Instagram
thoughts.
models.
Yes. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about Disney and this particular article in which an investor said to them, could you guys please stop being a bunch of weirdos involved in politics and race relations and all this stuff that doesn't really matter to a profit-driven company. I know that sounds very basic and something of keen understanding to a normal person, but apparently a Fortune 500 company just doesn't get the logic there.
They are weirdos.
They are.
They're
They are.
lizards.
So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the fact that apparently nothing is sacred anymore, and you can't even watch The Bachelor to get away from depressingness anymore. I don't watch The Bachelor,
It's
but
everywhere.
apparently people that love The Bachelor are now saying that it is not good and it's too depressing, to which I say, first time?
Yeah, right,
Really?
honestly.
So we got that. We got Podluck. We got a bunch of other stuff. But before we get into it, normally we would have some type of chat formation here.
Boo.
But instead of that today, what I want to do, I watched a movie last night, and I'm going to give you guys a recommend on something that I watched that I wanted to review, but it's a little bit older, so it doesn't really make sense. And it's a movie called All the Old Knives, starring Chris Pine.
Oh, I saw that.
You did?
No. I saw the headline or
Yes.
the title, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
So it was Chris Pine, Tandaway Newton, Lawrence Fishburne, and Jonathan Pryce, and I loved this movie. It's essentially the best word for it would be slow burn espionage thriller. It's set in about 3 different timelines, but it starts in about 2012. But it feels like a Cold War era spy film. Very little in the way of action, but if you like dialogue heavy spy drama, this is very, very good.
Did it feel like The Gray Man?
No, it felt
But
like
done better?
No. That was
The timeline jumps were a thing in Gray Man too.
This one actually, that's one of the things I point out was what it is that this movie had timeline jumps, but they went out of their way to make the actors look very different from timeline to timeline.
Okay.
So
Yeah, whereas in Gray Man it was
Yeah.
so confusing because they look exactly the same in all of them.
they do it both with the color palette of the cinematography, which is absolutely top notch in this movie. In fact, there was if I can find this original picture that when I first watched it, this photo right here is kind of all you need to know about how beautiful the cinematography. Thank you. How beautiful the cinematography is for this film, and it really rides on Tandaway Newton's character of Celia and Chris Pine's character. It's Tandaway.
Tandaway. That's a really interesting name.
Yes, it
love
looks like Thandy.
Oh, okay.
But
Tandaway.
it's
Interesting.
it's absolutely incredible. It's one of the few roles where I'm not a huge fan. As popular as she is, this is one that leans into her dramatic ability more so than a lot of the other stuff that I've seen her in. And Chris Pine is fantastic in this movie. And one of the things about it is you have Jonathan Pryce, and you have Lawrence Fishburne. So they don't get nearly as much screen time as the other two. But the 4 of them together give the movie a sense of gravitas that a movie like Gray Man sorely lacked. For us, you couldn't have made this movie, which has almost no action, is extremely plot driven, without a sense of. It felt almost a bit like Casino Royale in its cinematography, and like I said, those actors added a certain amount of gravitas. And I do want to point out that this has I'm not going to give away too many spoilers. We've been talking a lot about sex scenes in movies and stuff like this, and it does have some nudity, but I do want to point out that this movie has a rare example where I actually believe showing it, maybe not the nudity part, but showing the scene rather than cutting to the end of it,
Implying it, right.
actually worked because of the where it was structured within the story, which is a point in the movie which leads heavily into more questions. So it doesn't actually make sense to feel like you're coming to a conclusion in that portion. So it actually works as far as the ramping up of the tone of the movie, or of the pacing of the movie. It really, really works. And the conclusion, basically there's a twist at the end, as a lot of these movies have, and it lives and dies on the you know how we pointed out that in Star Wars they were doing a lot of obscene close-ups of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, they also did the extreme close-ups in Rings of Power too.
Yes.
It's like a trend.
In this movie, basically what's happening is they're trying to unravel the mystery of what happened on during a terrorist attack in 2012, Flight 127. The fact that they showed any type of Islamic extremism was actually surprising to me.
Yeah.
But the point is that they believe that the person was working with somebody within the U.S. government. Classic type of story to tell. And what it is the whole movie flies between these two other timelines, which is just after the attack happened, just before the attack happened, present day, and it kind of structures throughout, so you figure out how they got here. And all of the scenes that are present day take place in this in this restaurant where he's sent to interview her to see if she was involved in it. And as this does, all of their scenes to be heavily drawn into extreme close-ups of their face, which is where their ability as actors shines. They do very, very well here.
Yeah.
And the kind of surprise at the end, or it's not a shocking surprise, but it is a bit of a turn. It lives and dies on Chris Pine's facial expressions in the scene, and he nails it in every sense of the word. If you are more action focused, it probably isn't for you, but if you enjoy cerebral entertainment, this is a very, very, very good movie.
Would you say it's like a psychological thriller?
I was about to ask that.
I don't think thriller is the right word for it.
It's like
it's a psychological drama in a sense. There is some a few moments of violence, but it's a spy drama, and it's very, very, very good. At least I paused the movie like maybe twice. I can give you no higher compliment that I only paused
it very little.
A movie twice. Like I said, it is definitely not for everyone, but the simple things like color coding your timelines, her hair changes from that scene to another,
neat.
almost completely devoid of any wokish elements, except for the fact that her son is in ballet for no reason.
Guys can do ballet. Maybe he's going to be a
she
football
has a daughter
player.
and a son.
And the son is in ballet.
And the son's in ballet. I don't know.
It felt ham-fisted to me.
Why do you think that this received so much less press, seemingly, than Gray Man, even though they were both streaming releases?
This one clearly, you can tell by the fact that they work heavily within very few sets here. Like this set right here is the core structure of the movie, right? There are other set pieces that denote a film with a budget akin to the star power of all these actors.
Yeah.
If it had one flaw, I would say Lawrence Fishburne was underutilized. Lawrence Fishburne and Jonathan Pryce were underutilized, but I can't complain about that too much given how good of a performance Newton and Pine gave in this movie as former spy. As he's a current spy, she's a former spy, and they were also lovers, which plays a huge part in it. So just to get the day started today, I thought I would give everyone a recommendation.
That's awesome.
Go and watch All the Old Knives. It's on Amazon Prime right now.
Awesome.
So. All right, now that we've talked about something fairly pleasant, we're going to talk about something absolutely bonkers. I want to first introduce you to this headline, which says, "More alleged Adam Levine accusers come forward with claims of flirting."
Okay.
So the two things have been reaffirmed for me with this article, with this whole topic, which is one, you can never trust a male feminist.
Yes.
And two, 21st century women are absolutely allergic to personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that's fair. What do you think, Mary?
No, yeah, it's true. I think that women have been infantilized in this story, and like, what's really striking is the wording of it that groups in celebrity flirting with you as the same like gravity as like assault and harassment.
Yes, I have this. I just pulled up the front page from the New York Post, and these two articles are put on the same byline, which is Tiffany Haddish and Ari Spears' sexual abuse lawsuit dropped right next to more alleged Adam Levine accusers
and
come
you
forward.
cannot
Flirting.
say that doesn't psychologically affect people to see that in close proximity to a serious case of like a child abuse. Now, I saw who Sarah Foster speak out about this in a TikTok.
Barely speak out. Basically, she admonished both people.
What she said was, yes, men who cheat on their wives, Adam Levine being one of them, are gross, and that's gross behavior that should be called out. But also, the women who know that this man is married and choose to have an affair with him are also in the wrong and should be held accountable. Now,
perhaps we should back up and explain to people what happened here. Who's Sumner
Sure.
Stroh? Okay, so
Yeah.
basically, an Instagram and OnlyFans model named Sumner Stroh came forward and said that she had an affair with
Came forward
and said that she had an affair with Adam Levine and I do mean the absolute gall to say that she said she felt
exploited.
Oh, please.
Like, you have an OnlyFans. You
Lord.
exploited
You
yourself.
exploit your own-
typical
But-
female L.
Right? Honestly.
deal with it.
So
gross.
she comes
Typical
forward.
OnlyFans
Now,
L. Let's be real.
I will also point out that it doesn't make him any better because he's the moron who sent her a message and said that he's having a new child with his. By the way, this dude's dating a Victoria's Secret.
10 out of 10
married to Bahati
Victoria's
Prinsloo,
Secret
who's,
model
so-
who's pregnant with their second child.
Third child.
Third child?
3 kids.
And he wants to name that child after the woman he's
Sumner.
having an affair with.
Oof. That poor kid. Can you imagine?
literally
Oh my
gross.
god.
I think my favorite part of this, though, is like I kind of like I push back on the fact that I feel like men have been displaced in society a lot in current years.
I mean,
But if
all
I was
male
a-
sexuality
Yeah.
has been deemed unacceptable.
But if I was a woman and I was like, if you're a literal right? See, that's
Yeah,
an
it's
actual
that's
term
right.
of that
Thank
term.
you, Brett.
Yes, a literal Victoria's Secret supermodel, and you're still getting cheated on with Instagram thoughts. What hope is there for anyone?
it makes you, this whole story makes you feel like men are trash and women are trash and just everything in
everyone.
society
Time for a
sucks.
shower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
not
the
great.
whole thing is just icky.
It's almost like you should focus on your own life and ignore all these people because they're doing horrible things and modernity looks disgusting.
So
You know
this
what's
is-
funny? Adam Levine is like not good at flirting.
No, he's really okay.
He's
we'll be
so
fair.
awkward.
There's
He
cringe.
told this Instagram model that her body is absurd.
How is it such an hourglass? Oh my god.
That's just absurd.
My favorite.
Oh
There's a really popular meme that I saw recently. It says, "I'm never flirting with a skateboarder again." And it's a guy sends her a message says, "Your body's sick."
Oh my god. Not a compliment.
But
Thank
this
you.
Is, so the point here is like, no dude in his tax bracket should ever get an LOL and then push back from anyone. He's clearly very bad at this. He literally sends the lady a message that says, "You're hourglass. Oh my god," and she's like, "Aren't you like married? LOL."
LOL.
LOL.
I know you're married. You know you're married.
Like,
what
I
are we
Maybe he
doing?
likes it when they play hard to get.
Cringe.
So
gross.
we have a bunch of. So here's the first one. It says you can read that for yourself up there, and it is he's really bad at it. Here's the problem. I guarantee you, there's like 3 folders here. There's these, which is the few women that rejected him and then made it public. There's the women that were smart who knew he was married who didn't say anything.
Right.
And then there's the probably much larger list of women who were like, "Oh my god, this is awesome."
Right. Is this really Adam Levine? Holy cow.
And then the 4th list of the thirsty women who probably send him messages.
Of course.
But you can't win, Mary. You can't win if you're this guy in this case now.
I mean, the real problem is that the scandal comes from him flirting with a woman online and not from him cheating on his wife.
Pregnant wife.
Because
Pregnant
that's
wife.
obviously condemnable and means
3
that
kids.
he deserves the consequences, right? But the problem that's being called out is merely that he had the audacity to flirt with a woman
How dare he?
when he is a rich celebrity.
Yeah. So, and my favorite part is also like we said, there are no winners here. His wife loses more than all of them because she gets embarrassed.
It's humiliating.
Sumner Sumner, that's her name, she wins because I guarantee you her OnlyFans is now going to triple in price.
Well, now she is seen as a victim,
Yes.
a literal victim. They said that she was exploited and that she was the victim of an imbalanced power dynamic.
That is the most untenable place we're going in society is the
Poor you.
There is no power dynamic where when women have all the power, it's good. When men have any power, it's a power
bad.
dynamic that is bad and needs to be fixed.
And women must get the power back.
And there is a myth of some mythical 50-50 power dynamic that's only a complete moron would actually believe actually exists in the real world.
Never has, never will.
never will. That's not a real thing.
That's not even what people want.
No. So I also want to point out that this is, once again, like we said before, I have this fantastic old article that says, Adam Levine, feminist,
Aw.
men should be pillars of support to women.
Brett, are you telling me that a male feminist is like a trapdoor spider and that?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen that? Have you seen that cartoon?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's
so
perfect.
He is,
So good.
believe it or not, we need the calendar behind us X amount of days since a male feminist.
Reset the clock.
Reset the clock.
Yeah.
So it says the tatted up and smoldering frontman,
so subjective.
smoldering
Give me a
Jewish frontman of Maroon 5 opened up in an interview with Variety about his unyielding respect and value for women, his
Like,
pop
aren't you
music
so
ideology,
great?
and his future. I can't wait to read you some of these because it's the ones I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
The stuff he says, it sounds like straight out of like a movie that's making fun of male feminists.
He's just like, we should like support women.
Yes.
So embarrassing.
So he says, I have 2 daughters, and to think about them being mistreated at all
Oh,
ever
imagine.
made my blood boil. He said.
Imagine.
He says, I was doing it for my kids and my wife. If anyone doesn't understand the intentions, F them. And then we go down here
the
to
swearing.
he talks further, and he says. Incredibly, Levine reveals that The Girls Like You was not always set to be part of the album. He says it was an 11th hour edition. He wrote a verse and chorus, and I thought this song is everything. First of all, he's using Gen Z slang. That's
Everything.
That's a problem.
It's giving.
It's giving. Oh gosh, no. Ugh. Yuck.
It's
Thank you.
Look, Adam
Mary.
Levine, it's not giving what it was supposed to
He's
give.
40 years old. My gosh.
You sliding into Sumner's DMs is not giving what it's supposed to be giving.
Exactly. Thank you. Thanks, Mary.
It's giving affair. It's giving infidelity.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And what we need from you is
None of
being a
that.
pillar of support for women.
And now we have to go to my favorite of all of these, which is he says in a past interview, he says monogamy is not in our genetic makeup.
Okay, that's
So-
a cop out.
So, like, if in fact Adam Levine's wife, what is her name again?
Bahati Prinsloo.
Bahati.
Prinsloo.
If she joined in and said that they have a non-monogamous marriage
Right, like
of
an
some
open
kind, like
marriage?
an
He
open
said this
marriage.
before they were married. He said this before they were married.
Interesting.
Who knows if it's changed,
She knew
whatever.
better.
Well, that's the point
She
here is
should have
that he didn't
seen
change.
that as a red flag, right? But if she has joined in saying the same thing, then maybe joke's on you for tolerating that from him. But
She's way too good for him.
him saying that he is a male feminist and that like his love for women and his attraction to them is proof of that.
This is my favorite
It's
part.
the same-
The quotes.
It's the same ridiculous mindset of Sean Bean saying that he's a true romantic because he's been married 5
No,
times.
that's not how that works.
Which it necessitates 5 divorces,
Yeah.
might I add.
I hope.
In 2012, when asked about him being promiscuous, I wonder if he's like listening to that Nelly Furtado song.
Yeah, probably.
He says there's
a good
two.
song.
There's 2 kinds of men. There are men who are effing misogynist pigs, and then there are men who just
gosh.
really love women.
And
who
that's
think,
me. I'm just so great.
Who think they're the most
difference?
amazing people in the world, and that's me. He says, like, if you are a woman and red flags aren't going off everywhere right now.
I feel like in 2012 you could say something that stupid and actually get, away with it.
And then he goes, maybe the reason I was promiscuous and wanted to sleep with a lot of them is that I love them so much.
That's probably it.
It reminds me of when
Literally,
when,
like cartoonishly.
when
Right,
Joss
it's
Whedon
so
got
bad.
caught like sleeping with all his female employees on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's like, look, no hot women wanted to sleep with me in high school. Now they all want to. What was I supposed to
my
do?
chance. What's a man to do?
Yeah, well, what is a man to do? So he says,
In a way, I understand it. Like, he's a high-powered, rich celebrity. He can probably get
Yes.
like any woman he wants in
Oh, for
terms of
sure.
attractiveness. That's why he married a super hot
Literally
Victoria's
a
Secret
model.
model.
Yeah.
But if that's not enough and you're still going to act a fool on social media in the DMs of some trashy
18-year-old
like internet prostitute, then you deserve backlash, sure. But that doesn't make you a predator.
No,
it was completely consensual the entire time.
Yes, and I will say that this is not reset the clock, because all he did was be dumb, send these dumb, gross, cringeworthy messages. He's just doing his gross Playboy thing. He's being promiscuous, but he's not being rapey.
Yeah, so in that video that Sarah Foster posted, by the way, the only thing anyone knows her for is 90210, right?
Yes.
Like, at least me. Let's show the video, actually, because I agree with what she was saying.
Okay, yeah. If it will allow me to play it with you.
The singer cheated on the wife. About the situation with the singer cheated on the wife. Not going to say the name, but
Vague
booking.
booking.
First of all, I hate cheaters. My family was broken up when I was a child over a cheating situation. I think if you're a man, you're a woman, you want to leave a relationship, that's fine. That happens all the time. But cheating is so gross. So he's obviously a total pig and gross. But this woman who chose to make a viral TikTok video claiming
Thank you.
She's
by the way,
not
not even
wrong.
apologizing, but putting it out there for the world to see, for a pregnant woman to see, when she could have just messaged her privately, she claiming it's not her fault or something. It's we don't feel sorry for you. You knew this man was married, okay? And you participated.
Yep.
You could have easily ignored the messages. You knew he was married. We do not feel sorry for you.
Nor should we.
I'm sure you know.
I also want
But
to point
apparently
out that,
we do, because
Yes.
the comments were tearing apart
Yeah, they're
Sarah
being
Foster
criticized.
for criticizing this woman.
and we have that. Basically,
When really she's putting out she's putting out the dirty laundry of not just Adam Levine but also his wife, humiliating his wife on purpose for likes.
it's a weird double.
They
standard.
said, why don't you show him the same vitriol? When in the video she literally did show
He's
Adam Levine
trash.
the same vitriol,
Yeah.
called him a pig,
They're
said he's
holding-
gross and disgusting.
the women are being held to a different standard.
They said, yes, both are in the wrong, but this video is rooted in misogyny. The man should be held accountable regardless, just as much as the woman. That's exactly what she said.
That's what she's doing. But I want to add that I feel like they're really, the commenters, the people who are criticizing Sarah Foster, the people who are criticizing her are prioritizing a single hot young model over a pregnant mother of 3. I think that's what
Like,
it
who
boils
really
down
supports
to.
women here?
Right, seriously. I support a lady who's having a baby.
Now,
who didn't
Emily
cheat on her husband.
Ratatouille
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not.
Ratatouille.
We're not.
decided to chime in. I'm not
No.
even going to try to pronounce Emily Ratatouille's real
Emrat.
last name.
Yep.
Emrat.
Yeah. Yeah.
said, the power dynamic is so skewed, it's ridiculous. It's predatory. It's manipulative. If you're the one in a relationship, you're the one who is obligated to be loyal.
Yeah.
No. Sorry.
Yes, but also the person on the other
Yes,
side
but-
of that
Right.
You do not-
extramarital relationship is responsible
Yeah.
You
for
are
the
an-
consequences.
You're an adult. You have to be treated like
she
an
literally
adult.
said it's predatory. Like, is this the point that we
Incorrect.
have reached?
Women want to be infantilized.
Do we?
Yes.
It's all about the plausible deniability
Yes.
for.
I spent years, not all many.
I'm
okay?
general- I'm
I expect
generalizing
you to be
you.
like, not all women for once.
But right now, we can say generalizations about modern men and modern
Yeah,
women.
that's fair.
And they're all, like, I'm sorry, they're trash.
She
Everyone
generalized-
in this situation has been.
I am the pushback because Sarah
Made a
Foster
fool.
generalized men and women, but only the generalization of the man is what was supposed to be important according to those people. So I am here to be the one to say no.
Gotta balance
both
it out.
generalizations
Okay,
are
that's fine.
bad.
That's fair.
Both
Everyone
generalizations
sucks.
are true.
Everyone's
they all
horrible.
suck.
So they
a
appear
universal
to
L.
be.
Yeah.
They appear to still be together and putting on a united front. They were photographed picking their kids up from school on Tuesday.
He also denies the affair now, and it's just
You can't deny that.
no
What?
takesy backsies.
Yeah,
Why,
no.
in the age of social media, do you think that as a blue check mark, everything you say, even supposedly in private, is not being screenshotted and recorded
Oh yeah, I don't
for
care.
future clout chasing purposes.
And not to mention, like, I don't care if the dude wants to slide in the DMs of a million girls. It's the hypocrisy of being married while doing it and calling yourself a male feminist.
Exactly.
And then the other hypocrisy is the women want to, we're independent, we're strong, we don't need no man except for when there's an invisible power dynamic and we want to be treated like children.
I think that the reset the clock could be for hypocrisy instead of actual.
No, that's my
sexual
big. That's
assault.
I'm not talking about assault. I'm talking about a male
Most
feminist.
people are. When they say reset the clock, it usually means that a male feminist has been caught.
I'm just
actually
saying
being
a
predatory.
generalized male feminist
Right.
L.
Yeah. Yep.
Male feminist L.
Won't argue with that.
So it's,
I mean, really, it's just pointing out that posturing as some kind of champion of women's rights
yeah.
is always fake,
A
and
mask.
it's always a mask for gross behavior behind closed doors, whether or not it's predatory.
Yeah.
No matter how much they want to tell you the world has changed, the world has not changed that much.
No.
It is not. Celebrity.
The world has changed, but human psychology has not
Human
changed.
nature is undefeated.
I'm not even sure how much I
Relationship
believe
dynamics
that.
have not changed.
I'm not sure how much I believe that the world has changed as much as the front-facing version we see on social media has changed. Has the world we actually experience changed? Have the celebrities become more virtuous on online? Yes. Have they become more virtuous in their
real life?
actual lives?
Of
Hell no.
course
They've
not.
become
no.
They got
better
worse.
at selectively being silent.
Yeah. So
Like,
Good point.
the best thing they could do, all Adam Levine had to do for me to not take this position here today, and which is, like I said, I'm crapping on both of these sides. All he had to do was to not virtue signal about being a male feminist and how much you love women.
mean, another part of this that I think, I don't know, like most people aren't ready for this conversation, is that regardless of like socioeconomic status and whether you have name recognition and fame, male sexuality has been effectively, like in the court of public opinion, criminalized.
It's bad.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not, sure, him having an extramarital affair is of course wrong and should be condemned and shamed, but it seems like that's not what's being shamed right now. It seems like his sexual attraction to some
They're coming out
woman
about flirting.
is
What?
is enough to condemn him.
Well, that
Like, even if he weren't married, if he were sliding into the DMs of Instagram models,
It's a power
it would
dynamic,
still be
yeah.
considered predatory and manipulative because of
the power
his
imbalance.
power imbalance that he is inflicting on them.
Imagine-
when, if you genuinely are scared or feel preyed upon or scandalized by a celebrity DMing you, trying to flirt with you, then you would simply block them instead of
Yeah.
responding in like this tepid way that's like, oh, aren't you married? Haha.
That's her flirting with
That's
him.
flirting back.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I think that she enjoyed the fact that it was, I don't know, subversive or like not allowed. It was risque.
And he was super famous. Don't
Yeah.
forget.
If you look up
And she's a cloud chaser, obviously.
OnlyFans. Yeah, that'll do it.
so to me, I almost feel bad for him that I feel bad that his bad flirting is what, like,
So
This reminds
embarrassing.
me of the
Holy
Arcade
crap.
Fire frontman
Yeah.
who was recently canceled because, okay, there was one woman that came out with allegations of actual abuse. The rest of them reported that they just had really awkward, like not enjoyable dating experiences with him.
Go to jail for being awkward.
As if that is a crime, as if that is abusive. Like, at this point, if you don't perfectly conform to every woman's expectations in public and private as a man, then you will be depersoned and
they're not expected
have your
to,
career
and they're
taken
not
away.
expected to
Yeah.
be held to any standard, because if you do, you're hurting them and you're
misogynistic.
subjugating
Like, there's
them.
no standard of expecting that a grown woman should maybe speak up for herself, especially behind a screen when there's so much less pressure. Like, you can type out whatever you want and pretend to be whoever you want on the internet, that means you can easily stand up for yourself if you feel uncomfortable, right?
Yep.
Or just hit the block button. Or just move Adam Levine's DM to you from primary to general. Like
Yep.
they
It's
make
pretty
all
simple.
of these new
Got a lot of
features these
options.
days.
It's
Social
true.
media, it's a great thing.
This is-
Technology.
She also this is the one she said. She goes, I'm embarrassed. Embarrassed I was involved with a man with this utter lack of remorse and respect. Even when she's embarrassed because another person was bad, not because
Like
she's
it's
doing
secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
Not like she directly invited this behavior.
At the time, I was young. I was naive. I mean, quite frankly, I feel exploited, she said, of their alleged relationship.
I feel exploited.
I was a legal adult. I certainly was, I can...
was young. Okay.
Wait, when did this happen? How long ago was this?
It does not list here.
I guess
Because
a few years ago.
They would be talking
looks
about her
like
age.
she's like 25 or something.
yeah, she knew what she
Like,
was doing.
you are a grown adult. He is a grown adult. Stand up for yourself or block him or don't reply in the first place. It's just like the self-destructive, insatiable need for attention from these women. Like, I don't know why I'm still shocked every time.
It's just gross every time. That
So
doesn't change.
she's exploited, and it's
I feel exploited
it's
and traumatized.
there's no
Like, you can just twist the narrative any way you want.
the state of men and
So
women in this
tiresome.
country is absolutely bonkers right now. It really is. It's
I mean, the
absolutely
only thing you
bonkers.
can do is just yourself individually behave
pray.
the way you want to behave.
and
Yep.
and
pray
pray
and shame people.
We do need to bring back some public shaming.
Yes,
For
thank
what
you.
actually deserves shaming.
You know why? Because that's cultural enforcement.
Right.
You should know that there will be shame if you cheat on your spouse. You should know. And if you're prepared to accept that, fine. If you're not, you better think twice.
that died with the sexual revolution, ladies. I'm
I think
sorry.
you're right.
You know
We
what
need to bring it
else
back. It's a
surprises me
revival.
about this is considering the oversaturation of like the OnlyFans crowd and
Mm-hmm.
and just generally like thirst traps on Instagram. There is
Thank
an
you.
infinite
Thank you.
or seemingly infinite supply of hot women on all of these social media platforms, and men are still men like Adam Levine, not all men obviously, but they're still they still fall into the trap every time of sliding into the DMs and then making a fool out of
this
themselves.
is what I mean.
When really, like, this woman is barely even a real person, let alone
like a
going
plastic
to
thing.
meet up with you and hook up with
This
you.
is what I mean when I say human
crazy.
nature is undefeated. Guys will keep
That caveman
falling for this.
mindset is
Yeah,
still
you
at
can't
work.
escape it. You gotta fight it.
Men being visual creatures, these apps are absolutely
put the
detrimental.
phone
yeah.
down.
Put,
Put
like,
it down.
It's like
touch grass. Dude.
Touch your wife.
Touch
Don't
your-
touch grass.
Seriously.
Touch your
touch your
Victoria's
loved
Secret
ones.
model
Yeah, seriously.
wife.
Go hug your kids.
What
or
has
something.
happened
You
to
have
men?
children. What the heck? Oh my gosh.
And of course, remember all of this while he's telling you to quit being misogynists, you pigs.
Yeah.
Right?
Come on,
He's
guys.
joining in on the same feminist brigade that Emily Ratatouille
Yes. It's a
is
great
in.
Is it
So
pronounced
maybe
Rat-
well deserved.
Ratkowski? How do you pronounce
Ratajkowski.
it? Ratajkowski?
Yeah,
I don't know.
What's the
She-Hulk.
J then?
I just
wanna
it's
call her
extra.
Rat.
Rat. Yeah. M-Rat.
Let's go to super chats.
Okay. Caper2X said, Mary,
Demand shame.
now some chewing tobacco pickup truck word.
What?
Because
Oh,
of my
your
hat?
Yeah. I love
Just
it.
by virtue of wearing a hat, I am a
Yeah.
redneck.
You're a
I
trucker.
wear a hat almost every day. I don't chew tobacco.
Yeah,
Well,
where's
you
that coming
know.
from? Johnny Beck said pear. Oh, no, it's just a pear.
It's a little pear. Woo!
thumb-
thumbs
and a
up,
thumbs up.
Johnny.
Thank you. Call me Snow Possum said, am I the only one who can't get over the fact that the letter W starts with a D?
Mind blown. That's crazy.
The
Thank you for
letter
sharing.
X starts with an E.
Oh yeah, you're right. Holy crap.
So, Bad App said,
Wait, does that mean the
reboot-
letter C starts with an S?
Ooh,
Wait, what?
I don't know. Does
Maybe,
it? Because
or
sometimes
it's really a
C
soft
is pronounced
C.
C. Yeah.
There you go.
Now I'm just confused.
Every day I'm working to make sure I don't come off
Debunked.
every day I try to come off and make sure I'm not I know that I'm stupid.
You asked
But
me
I-
if be careful is one word.
Okay, that's okay. Brett.
That's a little bit.
Thanks for outing me.
That's
I just exposed
a
you
lot
on
is
live
not also
TV.
one word.
Yeah, that one at least I know.
Bad App said reboot on Hulu is good with Johnny Knoxville.
Not sure.
I saw that. I saw a
Which
thing for
reboot?
that. No, it's actually called Reboot.
Oh.
It's actually called Reboot.
What?
Yep.
So confusing. These super chats, I swear.
Nathan Settlemeyer said Brett, Amber Heard, Morfydd Clark, and Lizzo, MFI.
I don't know what
Oh
MFI
my.
What is MFI?
Mary,
F.
F
something else.
And then what?
Indict. That was the game we were
Indict?
playing last night. Because we don't advocate any kind of violence.
I
so
see,
we'd
I
be
see.
indicting. Yeah. Who do we indict?
Lizzo.
Amber Heard, obviously, because she's might actually be a criminal.
No,
Nope.
indict Lizzo.
Like, no.
Indict
Indict Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Because we don't want to M or F Lizzo.
Right,
so-
that's fine. And then the other two, flip a coin.
So-
And then you should
Mary Morfydd Clark.
Right, yeah.
F.
No!
Amber
She's the
Heard.
least
marry Amber
objectionable.
Heard for the excitement.
For the lulls.
Very
Yeah, for the
exciting.
lol.
Yeah.
It
She might poop on your
actually,
bed.
Perhaps plus she makes more money than I. So
There you go.
maybe I come out
And
giving
then-
that divorce and then I pretend to send it
Trophy
to charity.
husband.
F
Yeah.
Morfydd Clark
And-
because it would be
Over
cathartic
soon,
for you.
yeah.
And then
there
I
you go.
can be like, take that, Galadriel.
That's right. Haha.
And then indict Lizzo just because I don't have to be at the indictment.
Don't want her anywhere
Right.
near.
K for 2X said, Lydia, how is the wrist? I hope you're better.
It's good. There's no range of motion yet. I'm starting therapy next week. Look, I have this cool zipper tattoo now.
Whoa.
My dad commented that. These bones are super cool in your wrist. They give you a full range of motion because they slide over each other. And right now I'm like, I can't do anything. It goes down like this much.
Dumb
it goes
wrist.
bad, so bad.
There's a
But yeah,
fantastic, at
need
least
some
you're not a
therapy.
guy joke.
Okay,
there.
it's my left hand anyway,
All right.
so kick rocks.
Bad App said, I recommend Sugar and Spice, 01 cheerleader heist film.
I remember that
think
film
it's
having.
interesting.
I remember that movie having a really funny cover. I never saw the movie, but I remember that if it's what I'm thinking of, having a really funny cover.
Waffle Sensei said, these people just want to defend making it public because it gives them drama to drool over.
True.
I agree. A private message would have been appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
what-
like nothing.
Yeah, how about nothing?
Just
How
nothing.
about like stop
How about being an adult?
DMing a married man in
Yeah.
the first place?
That'd
kick
be
rocks,
good.
take responsibility for
rocks.
your own actions, and just move on with your life.
Kick
I think-
rocks
to
every
be
time.
fair, like all she has to say is like, "Look, it's weird if you name your kid after me. That's freaking weird."
That is weird.
And then move on.
yeah.
Like say, that would be weird. Please don't do that. And then block him.
Like, that's cute, but I don't want that. Thanks.
Bad App said, I'm so trad. Mary can slide in my Hulu account.
Why?
We,
You probably
uh,
don't want to do that.
Okay, so yesterday we had our discussion where I said petty is logging out of your Netflix account when you break up with someone.
Okay, but how far into a relationship do you
Bef-
wait before sharing a Netflix login?
That is a very good question.
Or any streaming service login.
I shared it with Andy
because
right away.
Hannah Claire's hypothesis is that men are way more likely to have like to pay for all of these streaming services.
really?
But she
I don't know
thinks
if I buy that.
women are more likely to like, share a login.
I
with a
had
guy.
all of them, and I shared them with Andy whenever we
Okay.
started
If
dating.
he didn't have any?
He had like one or two.
Okay, so he just like canceled his.
Yeah, well, I actually canceled most of mine, and we just kept a couple because we don't want Disney Plus.
Yeah.
We don't want to give these people money, so we have like Amazon Prime, and then we use.
Yeah.
I think Amazon Prime's all we have. Yeah, I think once you cut it down, that's how you know you're being.
Hulu is
responsible
good,
adult.
but eventually you're going to be giving. I mean, Disney owns part of Hulu.
Yeah, I did like Hulu. I like the cartoons. Yikes! I know.
Rascal King said, the Rascal King wonders why a Google data center has such crap Wi-Fi.
Great eternal question.
That is a very, very good
I am
question.
pondering this right now.
Because all the data is being sent to the NSA, most likely.
That's probably it.
I need to stop watching YouTube said, all solved by High Trust Society.
I gotta look this up. I don't know what that is. What is
That's
that, Mary?
a new term to me.
High
Sounds
trust.
Yesterday
Sounds
there
like
was a
something I would
easier
like.
said than done.
Yeah.
Yesterday there was a comment in the chat that said like they thought we were CIA agents because we didn't get specific movie references. I was like,
Silly.
that'd be cool if I was actually a spy.
We
be
only
awesome.
know about CIA related movies or TV shows.
I mean,
That
I
would be
talk a
funny.
lot about CIA and military stuff. I could be a plant for all they know. I could be our very
You're like
own.
pointing out how some of these CIA movies aren't
Yeah.
true to the real experience.
So,
and
you
you're
know-
like, I don't know why I know that.
Well,
it's
the-
just a special interest of mine.
The thing is, though, is the movies. Like, I don't really care much for like the traditionally loved movies. Most of the stuff in,
Yeah, I
the,
don't
in
either.
the shows that I love were weirder or less popular things.
Did you
So-
like Elf?
I don't know if I ever saw Elf.
Mary, did you like Elf?
I liked it. Yeah.
It was horrible.
I was a kid when I watched
Oh,
it.
was
I am excited
So
to
of course
watch
I'm gonna like
That's
it.
Jingle
fine.
All the Way and
That's-
Miracle on 34th
The
Street.
Santa Claus is
And the
different.
Santa
Like some
Claus.
of these are different. Okay, so I want to read this because this is actually really interesting. So a high trust society. A low trust society is defined as one in which interpersonal trust is relatively low and which do not have shared ethical values. Conversely, a high trust society is one where the interpersonal trust is relatively high and where shared ethical values are strongly shared. That sounds great. How do you make that happen?
What about trust in the institutions? I didn't see that.
That is
mentioned
gone,
either.
and that is never
That
coming
is
back, my
never
friends.
coming
At least not in
back.
our lifetime.
I don't expect
That
it to.
feels like a house of cards that came down all at like a little bit, a little bit at first, and then all at once.
Suddenly.
Yep. It feels like I can go back to watch stuff even just 5 years ago and be amazed at how much like it didn't bother me, and now I just like everything feels like it's just
You're more
everything's
cynical.
far
now.
more cynical. Yep.
We're gonna
You're
talk about
older.
that more later. Potatoes for Seamus said,
Woo.
Linda, did they let you keep the cast?
Dude, this lady, I went to go back and I was like, oh, can I wait for my husband? He's coming upstairs or whatever. She's like, I'm just going to cut your cast off. And I was like, okay. So that set the stage. And then she just like cut it off with like the little saw. And I was like, oh God, she's going to cut my arm. She's going to cut my arm. She didn't. It was fine. I didn't even have a chance. I didn't even know where it went. It was gone in a heartbeat. And then she's like, go get an x-ray and come back up here. And I was like, yes, ma'am. I gotta go. So she
Drill
was no
sergeant.
nonsense.
That's her
Yeah.
job.
She's like this black lady. And I was like, oh, she does not have time for my nonsense. I'm not going to ask to keep it. So I
She's
lost
probably
it.
the backbone of that hospital.
I'm sure
Probably
she
keeps
is.
it running.
Yeah, I saw her work when I was there before, and I was like, this lady knows what's up.
Cyber Doctor said, continuing from IRL, could we see Shad Brooks make an appearance, Lydia? Also, when is Ian coming back on?
Friday.
Is he
For
like out
Ian,
of town
right?
or something?
No, he's coming back on Friday. He just mentioned it the other
okay.
night. Yeah.
I need to stop watching YouTube said, if you want a girl, just go to every table at the bar and say, ladies, how we doing tonight? Then go to the next one. Repeat.
Guaranteed work.
You don't even
every
wait for the
time.
response.
Just
You
leave.
just say,
No,
how we
no.
doing tonight?
I
And
would
then
laugh
walk away.
so hard if I saw some guy doing that. I think that was hilarious.
One
Like,
thing,
what are you
one
doing?
great one that I saw the other day. It says it's like I follow a couple of these Instagrams that are just really funny. It's like stay toxic, and it's like
Toxic Kings.
It says like text your. It's like call your ex-girlfriend at 2 a.m. and then hang up quickly and text her and say sorry, wrong number.
Oh, snap. That's Stay toxic, friends, right?
Stay
Holy
toxic,
crap.
Kings.
Joseph Fazio said, watch Howard Stern stab Adam Levine in the back.
All caps, very important.
Howard Stern. Sucks.
Howard Stern?
He stabs everyone in the back. Let's be
And he's
real.
still around. People
Yeah.
like believe it or not.
He's one
still-
of those people
Dinosaur.
who genuinely seems uncancelable because he was actually a sleazy piece of S when he was at like his heyday.
He will get
and-
canceled when he dies.
Yeah.
Like
Only when he dies?
Yeah.
He dies.
Like that's even worse.
Yeah. I feel
That's
like he-
even worse than being held accountable when you're alive and you can speak up for yourself.
Like Hugh
100%.
Hefner.
He totally pulled the ladder
Awful.
up behind him. I hate it.
Shock jock's bad.
Yeah. Pulling up the ladder behind him is exactly.
I hate so
That fits
cowardly.
exactly.
I hate it.
Johnny Derp said, Mary asked what happened to men. Daniel Tosh once explained, it isn't you versus a bleep. It is you versus all the bleep.
Derogatory term for women.
Derogatory term for women. Numbers aren't in your favor. I don't get it.
Daniel Tosh. That's where I go to get all my life advice.
I mean, it's also. I mean, Tim talks a lot about
Who is
the-
you in
The
that?
the sexual marketplace is very different now due to dating apps, supply demand. 80% of the women are going after 20% of the men.
Yeah.
Et
That's
cetera.
dating apps.
No,
though,
that's
right?
they extrapolate that data to mean all.
I would extrapolate it to real life.
to
Yeah.
all women.
Because
Partly,
it's
but-
in sync with our biological understanding of how women like rate men by attractiveness.
Yeah.
Men actually have a bell curve of ladies that they find attractive. Women have like I don't even know what it is, but they don't view any men as being maximally attractive.
Yeah, until they. It's
All
like
of them are less.
They're
than
all
average.
ugly until they're like until they're not.
But
Right.
they can also be too attractive, which
Ma-
is something we were talking about earlier.
Mary has a unique opinion. She doesn't think that women care about.
I don't think
men's-
women care or should care about how men look, like almost at all,
Yeah, I don't think they do. I
except
think
for
it's
like
about
them taking care of themselves in a general sense.
brush
Like
teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in real life they really don't. Like
Yeah.
most girls, like pretty girls I know are dating men like way below their
Are
rung
they-
of attractiveness.
Who's making the bulk of the money in those relationships?
That's
They're
always
both
the
young
question.
though, so
Okay.
no, neither of them. Like I don't know.
No one.
The men
No
are
one
also-
is making
the
money.
men are
Yeah.
also going to grow into their worth.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show before. So women, it's really interesting. Women start life with an advantage that gradually declines. We all know this. Don't talk to me about eggs and egg cartons. I already know. Men start life on hard. They get drafted into wars, and then eventually, if they survive and make good on themselves, they make a bunch of money, and they're more valuable when they die than they were when they were born.
Yeah.
So it's oppositional almost, but it's almost like men and women are designed.
Well, that was
to
why you married. When you married because she needed. It allowed you to protect her and
Right.
to and then when she was
supported
no longer
you.
when she was no longer desirable by society's standards,
Of course.
not by your standards.
Because you know her as a person.
Yes, exactly.
You view her as a valuable human being, as you should.
I explained that to like a friend with he didn't like.
It's very confusing.
What do you mean?
He just thought it was very sexist. That like my description
It's
of that.
true. And you can call it sexist if you want, but you can't argue
There are
with
facts
it's
of
true.
life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like if you want to
People are gonna
ignore
figure it out.
reality, that's fine.
Like,
but-
okay. Well, just tell him he could try both ways. Just be like, see which works better.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you
Call
go.
Me Snow Possum said, "Why is it called a grilled cheese when you cook it on the stove?
Oh, wow.
You grill it on the
Deep
stove,
questions.
right?
What's the other ones? Like
Am I wrong?
why do you cook
Yeah, you're right.
bacon, but why do you
Bake cookies.
Bake cookies.
Why do you park on a driveway and drive on a parkway?
Yeah.
So many
so
questions,
many
guys.
What are you talking about? Why do you bake cookies but
Yeah,
cook bacon?
Yeah, they have the words. in
Phonetically,
the
it doesn't
name.
make sense? Is
Yeah,
that
doesn't
it?
make
It's
sense with the
just a
word.
joke.
It's all right.
It's a
Don't
little
overthink
joke.
it.
1,000 Foot Deep End said, Mary's look says McDonald's drive-through worker more than trucker.
I don't
the hat
know.
definitely looks like a
Kinda
McDonald's.
Well,
does.
look,
Yeah.
that's gonna be my reality once the deposition
Oh,
happens.
nice.
good.
Well, no, 'cause you're the Fed. Oh, are you saying that's where you'll go to? You're going to go undercover at
Undercover
McDonald's
to
next.
McDonald's. Yep.
You're going to bring the
Mary,
founder. You're going to
she's
bring down the founder. Mary's,
Yeah.
Mary is totally the Fed.
Dun dun dun.
Trust me, guys. If
Yeah.
you could hear these conversations off air, Mary is the Fed here.
Yeah.
Fedcast.
Yep.
I will not elaborate.
She's like,
Yeah.
I can neither
have no
confirm
further
nor
comment.
deny
No comment.
my involvement in the Federal Bureau of
That's right.
Investigation and or sister agencies.
Yep. 3-letter agencies.
Johnny Derp said, Brett, I could be a plant. So, like Stephen
Oh, no.
Hawking? Wait, he was a vegetable.
Oh man.
Come on, meow. If that doesn't make you groan, you
Oh.
aren't conscious.
I
Whoa.
definitely groaned.
Yeah.
That was
That's physically painful.
There-
Thanks, Johnny.
There was I saw I saw a bit of a stand up the other night where the guy's like, you want to know how hard divorce is? He goes, you know who Stephen Hawking is? The guy who was literally like spent his entire life in a wheelchair and tried to figure out the mysteries of the entire universe. Even he gave up on marriage. She's like, I quit.
Yeah. Yep.
Women, they're impossible.
Yep. He's also
James Riley said, Brett, you legit are a spy. Admit it. Hi, ladies.
Well, I do have the looks.
Thanks for the bouquet.
Thanks for the bouquet. That's beautiful.
I
And
do
the
have the
winky
looks of a
face.
spy.
The spy. Yeah, you're very under the radar there.
If I don't think I meet the height requirement for the Central
there a height
Intelligence. I'm sure
requirement?
there is. I have no idea.
I doubt it.
I highly doubt that.
They need
but
people who look like everybody, kind of like Project Veritas. They want
They-
somebody who looks like everybody.
maybe that's who I work for. Maybe I'm
You're James O'Keefe.
I'm the liberal version of Project Veritas.
Do you think I could go undercover for Project Veritas?
Nope,
or
you've
would
been
it
on
be
camera too
obvious?
much. Yeah, you've been on camera too much.
Ah.
They want people who haven't been. Yeah, they hit me up, but yeah.
Call Me Snow Possum said, if you could watch a movie for the very first time again, what movie would that be?
What do you think, Brett?
For me, it would be the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That or the movie Heat.
Of course.
Those are my two favorite movies. I talk about them all the time.
It's true.
There's a couple of them
Gosh.
though. That. What about you?
I have no idea.
I know.
I hate the pressure of these questions.
Yep.
Like, I think
Doctor.
about it all the time, and then the second I'm asked.
I can never remember, and then
don't
off
know.
air, I'm like, duh, why didn't I think
It's
of
like
that?
someone asking you what your favorite song is, and you're like, I've never heard a song before in my life.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I have no idea.
Bad App said, I'm a 12 at a carnival state fair.
Oh, is that good? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, like I'm definitely like he's a 10, but like what was the one I heard? There's a couple of really funny ones that I've heard recently. It's like he's a 10, but he's a Fed. He's a 10.
He's a
but
10, but he called your body absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't know how to flirt on text.
He's a 10, but he's in Maroon 5.
Yikes.
He's a 10, but he doesn't
Adam
mind
Levine.
spending every day.
Oh my
etc.
gosh.
Caber2X said, are you planning to discuss Heard's foray into adult films to
Good
pay her
word,
legal
foray.
debts? Or that's scratching the bottom of the barrel?
Is that true?
Yeah, I
I
haven't
saw
seen
no
that.
such. I saw something similar to that on like Pop Topic, but
prediction.
I tend to think that all of Pop Topic is bad info. So we maybe we check into that. That could come
We'll
back and be a
see.
thing. We will see.
She's
Can
on
I-
a TV movie.
She is
so-
that. Can I read 2 comments that aren't super chats real
Yes.
quick?
Yeah.
Kings1420 said, women age like cheese, men age like wine. If you ever had blue cheese, you know that's not the case. I would say women age more like milk. Sure, men age like wine. That's fine. I just have taken issue with your comparison. And then Cody Nar says, Lydia has been on camera more than Mary. TF. Like, what? Why would Project Veritas hit me up? They hit me up before I worked for Timcast. That's why.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right, guys. So I also want to talk about this, which is basically an investor who runs a fairly large portfolio and works with Disney and invests in both Disney and Apple has been like, look, could you guys like stop being involved in politics? I didn't quite say it in that voice, but it was pretty close. So it says an anti-ESG investor presses for changes at Disney and Apple. And basically what this is this guy who his name's Vivek Ramaswamy, who has spoken at CPAC. So that
Yeah, I know that name.
so
like, there's definitely a bias there.
but there's a
Sure.
funny thing in here that feels like it's the biggest duh in the world.
What's that?
But we'll get to it. So it says an activist investor who's been a sharp critic of so-called ESG, or as they say, environmental, social, and governance, investing at Apple and Walt Disney, is urging them not to engage in political discussions and to make employment decisions without taking in an individual's race, sex, or political opinions into account.
Like, is that not
What
already?
the hell is going
That's
on?
in the law.
That's literally the law.
That is
I
the
mean,
law of the
political
land.
affiliation isn't in the law, but
Should be.
But,
it is in
but,
DC.
yeah.
He said Disney must act now. If Disney continues speaking out on political issues that do not affect its business, it will face even greater pressure to act when they do. And the sides Disney will be expected to take won't be the ones that are favorable to its business.
like
Good point.
climate change stuff, like any. But I want to point out: does becoming political make a company inherently reactionary?
It depends.
I think it makes you reactionary. The second you take a stance, you're now on your heels.
Yeah, but I also think it depends on what your business is.
Well, okay. If
I mean,
an
it sets a
entertainment
precedent
company,
that you have to speak on every little thing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is relevant in
You
the
don't wanna
moment.
set
a lot of the smartest celebrities are the ones who just don't speak on any of it because that way they aren't expected to speak when something big happens.
The smartest celebrities are the ones that don't have social media presences. But then that's also something that is like, if you're already an A-lister, you got grandfathered in
Yeah, you don't have to
before
worry about
social
it.
media even existed. But like, I found this interesting because he's basically suggesting like the very simple premise that you shouldn't make business decisions on any other grounds than what is
Good for
most
business.
profitable.
Yeah.
Right.
What decision is most profitable? So this is like getting to my point that I often make, which is that people just don't want money anymore.
Nope.
They have ideological ends.
So weird.
There
Disney got
are
involved.
ideologues at all of these mega corporations who have redundant jobs, who that
was
add
the-
no value to the company, are just 100% drains.
What was the job title you mentioned earlier?
A diversity, equity, inclusion, marketing, and communications.
It's like 9 departments.
I
that could,
cannot
like,
think of someone that was at CNN, by the way, but I can't think of someone more redundant and more of a drain on a company than with a job title like that.
So he also says he holds positions at Apple and Disney, and in recently launched exchange-traded funds that invest in large public companies. The fund has roughly $11 million in net assets. That's not a whole lot when you really think about
For asset management firms, yeah, sure, but like in reality, that is enough to like have influence.
And I was trying to think of where I
Right.
knew this guy. Like, I have the book Woke Inc. in my room, and I just haven't read it yet. So that's my own fault.
Oh, okay.
A book that argues companies shouldn't be swayed by politics. Strive Management's main fund, focused on energy, has $320 million in assets. Earlier this month, he publicly called on Chevron to pump more fossil fuels over the next decade
I love this
and
guy.
slow spending on its energy transition plan. His energy ETF holds a position at Chevron. So he's got money. He's got influence,
He
and
can make
he's
a
taking.
difference.
He could
Good
make
for him.
But it feels bonkers to me. Look, Bob Chapek, who is famously called Bob Chapek, very profit focused, always has been. And as soon as he took over Disney, he started getting involved in politics. Originally, he goes, "No, we're not going to focus on it." But that was like right when the parental rights and education bill came out, and they're in Florida, so he got like screwed kind of into having to talk about it. And they clearly didn't know what they were talking about.
Here's a conflict, though. There are people working, there are executives at Disney and other media companies who are ideologues, yes, and who want the company to make business decisions for ideological ends.
Yeah.
But there are also shareholders who are shareholders purely to have ideological influence too.
Yeah.
It's not all about money for everyone.
I also want to point out that I'm going to lay off the topic of ESG because it's a very, very complicated discussion point. I've watched a lot of videos on it, and I know enough to know.
They said it's the loosely defined practice of considering issues beyond short-term profits.
I know
That's
enough
a
to
very positive
know.
spin.
I know enough to know that I don't know enough to have too strong of opinion, other than the fact that I know that companies like BlackRock, which are heavily invested in this practice, have taken a lot of money out of the economy in that sense and put it into these practices, which aren't necessarily short-term profit driven. But I don't know enough to say that. Like, for instance, Warner Brothers has a higher ESG score than Disney.
How is it calculated?
Like I said, I don't know. I just know that you can look up the score. So I said, I'm not going to speak on that. I do know that it feels like the message is far more important these days. For the best example I could give you is Disney literally throwing money away by not editing their movies to be involved in China so that they can be involved in countries like Qatar, where they would love to make the money, but are refusing to make the changes in their movies for the sake of profit. So clearly, on some level, that is true. They are choosing ideological ends
and
over
Marvel
profit.
too.
And Marvel's owned by Disney. So,
and that seems to be more posturing for Western audiences, and arguably, I'm not saying this is correct, but arguably they would say that's a smart marketing decision to make more money from Western audiences, therefore it's business savvy, right?
This isn't about marketing, I don't think. This is about something overarching that they're trying to go for. And the way that they define ESG as thinking about something beyond short-term profit, doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't non-racist history lessons sound nice? That's critical theory. You need to know what they're talking about because it is not as nice as they try to make it sound.
James, if anybody wants a good person to look up stuff on ESG, James Lindsay is constantly posting a very, very deep dive analytics into that concept.
Yes, he's over on Instagram.
But it says, he said, so this is back to Mr. Ramaswamy. It says he said Disney should make all its decisions based on profitability without regard to social, cultural, or political pressure from employees, activist groups, or other stakeholders. Activist groups were the ones that launched. Think of Netflix. Every time Dave Chappelle releases a special and a bunch of annoying employees protest outside their own job, and this company has to basically act like babysitters and say, look, either work here or leave. We don't care, but Dave Chappelle makes us a lot of money. We're going to release it. That makes sense. Here, I don't know, Disney being so heavily involved ideologically now, I don't know if they can get back out of this. I think they're kind of in it now forever.
How do you disentangle yourself?
You wouldn't be able, right? They renewed Chapek's contract for another 2 or 3 years, if I remember correctly. At the very least, it's not going to change until management changes, right? Because there's going to be the stink of the political ends all over his stuff.
But a lot of people would say that Disney has always had political ends. It's just that those ends have shifted to something that they weren't before, you know?
Yes. The company's
political and social ideals.
Right.
Because Walt
That's
Disney,
unavoidable, right?
Walt Disney was an anti-commie, so he
well, he had a lot of controversial opinions. That's that's not really relevant though. So, it's just the fact that like any media company, any entertainment company is going to have ideals and and messages that they are pushing into society.
And to be fair, the average person doesn't know this stuff is going on. There are
Yeah.
plenty of people who are blissfully unaware of how annoying these companies can be and how annoying a lot of this stuff
Becoming
is.
harder to ignore
I mean, if
because
they're
it's
not looking
infecting
for
the actual products.
Yeah, I mean, they might be aware that the product is is just different than it used to be, but that could be modernity. That could be the world is changing. That could be a lot of things. Not so much that Bob Iger wanted to run for president and Bob Chapek is being pushed around by activists.
Yeah.
So
Now, Warner Brothers has a diversity, equity, inclusion czar, and 4 executives are going to be answering to him to meet their standards.
also very interesting considering when they brought in Zaslav and they canned the Batgirl movie and they kicked it into the next dimension to where it will never be seen again.
Woo.
Love to hear it.
They were saying that he's a Trumper and that he's anybody who can actually use that term without
Dying
throwing
of
up,
cringe.
dying of cringe.
If you didn't release an objectively poorly made movie that wouldn't make the money back,
Yeah.
then
Apparently,
you're a Trumper.
but apparently people looked up his donations and he's given to both parties, as a lot of them do. They give to
Yeah.
both parties
They're
because
playing both sides, so
you
they
can
always
play both
come out
sides of
on
the
top.
because uniparty.
So it says a strong focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We really need. Okay. I really do believe, before we go any further, that a big part of this is just people taking advantage of the fact that a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between equity and equality.
Yes, there's a huge
And they're
difference.
playing on the fact that a lot of people don't actually know what equity means in the context of social equity, meaning that they want race-focused practices in hiring. They want race and sex and gender-focused practices with hiring and promotions. It's got nothing to do with equality. It's got everything to do with revenge.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
So it says a strong focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion is a top priority for our company, and we are committed to doing everything we can to get this right because they're terrified of you coming for them and calling them bad if you don't.
What a bunch of
Well, that's already happened because they already faced criticism, it says, for their decision to appoint a slate of entirely white male directors to its board of directors. And they had a relative lack of diversity in top executive ranks.
I love how
they're
generic that. What is
they're DEI czars.
DIE.
DIE.
We
That's
tried-
right. Get it
Okay,
right.
they're czar, and the executives reporting back to him
Thank
are
you.
really just their entire job exists to propagate the need for their job.
Yep.
It's like a professor.
Yeah.
You gotta
They're
create a way
only
that-
for maintaining the facade of equity, right?
And
It's not because they actually care.
no,
Exactly.
It's beneficial to
Who
their
is
bottom
being
line.
fooled by this?
I think a lot of people. I think we are in our own bubble of information, and we've taken in a lot of information, done a lot of research into things that the average person just isn't looking into.
Right. That's why
So
we do a podcast, though. So
I-
I explain it to people.
I do unfortunately think that a lot of people are getting fooled by this. And do you remember when in Portland when the government was doing racially segregated job training?
Yep. That sounds like something Portland would do.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Seattle was doing that as well. All that stuff is going on, and what it is the average person goes, and this happens a lot. They say that sounds ridiculous, and because it is ridiculous, they ignore it. Right? They're like, "Oh, that doesn't sound real."
Yep,
And
exactly.
you hear about
I'm
stuff
sure
like this.
it's not
It doesn't
happening
sound
very
real.
often.
It doesn't sound like it's actually happening. The Disney movies are fine. They're not fine, but the average person, the movies are coming out, they're fine. Warner Brothers is releasing their stuff. What could possibly be that different? But at the corporate level, it's very different.
Well, what we're told is that we are conspiracy theorist whack jobs for thinking that these executives and shareholders have some shared interests shared ideological interests, not business interests. But then they openly can say that the goal of their DIE strategy team
Thank you.
is to drive long-term change both locally and worldwide. They are globalists.
Yep.
They want to use entertainment as the vehicle for global ideological change.
Which
right?
is they always find a way to dress it up in corporate speak that sounds so
Synergy.
banal. Yes, I love the word. It's my favorite thing. in the world.
Synergy is
It literally
a great
like
word.
it's
Means nothing.
like you. I don't
We
think
generate solutions.
they literally sound like they've never actually spoken to an actual living, breathing human
How do
being.
we make
Corporate
this
speak.
human?
Yes, these people don't.
They're
human very well.
lizards.
They're definitely lizard people.
Like that again, it's like we don't say that because we literally think you're reptilian. We say that because you don't talk like a person.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, I don't expect the executives to talk like people when they're doing corporate speak because it's literally designed to be less human and more.
Well, it's being ghost written for them, obviously. But
obviously.
But yeah. So and
I also just wanted to point out that there's a VP named Christian Hug at Warner Brothers.
doesn't that just make you want to give him a hug? Mary?
Of a good Christian.
A good
hug.
Christian hug.
That's
Good
right.
Christian hug.
Yeah, I love it.
Sounds like a euphemism for something.
I don't like that.
What is a good Christian hug?
Tell me more.
I need to.
I need to know.
So
Okay.
beyond that, I want to point out that Disney is still very heavily considering buying Hulu. The remaining, they already own like 75% of Hulu, and they want to buy the rest of it and incorporate it into Disney Plus.
Yeah, they own 2/3.
Yes.
And they're gonna own 100%.
So
looks like.
that is Bob
The
Chapek.
Stan wars between these mega corporations
I love
is like
Hulu
the
too.
worst part.
You know? So I love Hulu. I've been watching a lot of Hulu lately. So
I don't want to have an allegiance to any company.
no
To any streaming service or any parent company that owns that streaming service. But they're stoking these, like, they want fandoms to exist behind mega corporations.
Disney is the only one that actually accomplishes that. No, there is no.
That's
there
why
are,
they're acquiring all the IP.
There are
True.
weirdo Disney adults. There are no weirdo Warner Brothers adults. That's just
True.
creepy. That's
Also
just
There are,
true, yeah.
yeah. No,
like
they
that.
found out where the weirdo fandom adults were and just acquired whatever it was that they liked.
Anything they like, they're just like
Star
we'll
Wars,
take
Marvel,
this, we'll
thank
take
you, thank you.
this.
They're also like what they've done is so I watched a really interesting video the other day. They said they spent the 90s making movies that gave women unrealistic expectations about love, and now that they've got them and made them 40-year-old single women, now they've turned them into fans of Star Wars, which they never gave a crap about 20 years ago, and they've geniusly moved them into like. They've got cats. They've got their Star Wars and their Marvel, which they never would have cared about when they were in their
They've
20s.
appropriated them
And
into it.
they got them there by showing them that marriage was not feasible because they were never going to meet the perfect guy. So they've literally facilitated their own market and then bought the properties. They bought Marvel and DC, or I'm sorry, they bought Marvel and Star Wars because it was already a female-driven business.
Yep.
And then they just turned those projects into female-driven brands, while keeping the guys who are just
Can't
like.
pretend to be the same thing that you were before after you get acquired by Disney.
Yeah,
true.
and the guys are like the poor Marvel guys who can't admit that it's bad. They're like abused spouses that just keep coming back for more.
Or like Eric Butts, the Disney
Yeah,
Star Wars
like-
reviewer.
so
Tell me more.
Disney wins.
He's a YouTube reviewer that infamously literally like bawls his eyes out at trailers for Disney Star Wars content.
Yeah.
Like he actually cries watching like a
Sweet
trailer for
meteor
Andor.
of death.
All that stuff made sense to me when they announced The Force Awakens. And
Hit
it's like
that
there
big
hasn't
red
been
button.
there hasn't been a Star Wars
Yep.
movie in a long time. A lot of people love Star Wars. Now it feels so
It's abusive.
manufactured.
It's literally
It
abusive.
really is. Yeah.
It's,
I feel exploited. I feel manipulated. This is
don't
honestly
like it.
predatory.
Yeah.
I
Very
haven't
predatory.
even had sex with Adam Levine.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go super chats.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Caper 2X. Oh, sorry. Quiet Inari said he's a 10, but won't stop quoting Chet Hanks.
Well, that makes him a
Hey,
12.
that makes him a 12.
What?
What are you talking
Duh.
about? We love Chet around here.
James
Don't knock
Orenthal
Chet.
Wen said the DEI or die phenomenon has been interesting to observe since I'm assigned to 2 high-profile corporate accounts, including an aforementioned Petrol
Fascinating.
Corp.
You ever been in Europe and they call it a petrol station?
You're like, what is
Yeah.
that?
What the hell is
They
a
sell it
petrol
in liters.
station?
What's
bunch
petrol?
of weirdos.
Yeah. And they
Well,
have,
we know your nationality now.
Yep. Gave it away.
And they have they only, at least back when I remember when I was in Europe, they only had they only had Red Bull in like the small cans, and by that time we were already like poisoning ourselves with the larger size cans. It's like that's why America's like overweight and.
Have you noticed that gas stations are weirdly rare in a big city?
Well, yeah.
For as many cars as there are, you have to leave the city to get gas.
You go to the edge by the freeway on-ramp, and then there's usually a gas station there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lindsay said, glad I'm getting to catch the show live today while working from home. Also love how Brett and Mary have switched hats.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, my blonde
We
hair.
planned that.
My blonde hair is not quite as luscious. It's not as.
It's
as
its
light.
own thing.
It's its own thing.
I like it.
But I'm getting there.
like a-
I'm thinking I'm
Looks
just
really
gonna
good.
grow it out shoulder length and not touch it. So there's just a clump of like random blonde hair at the end.
I
Makes
love
no
it.
sense.
I love
I
it.
will cut it.
I know.
For
I can
you
literally
before it gets
picture
that
Mary
long.
just like.
Begin and cut it in your sleep.
And we do like a time lapse of every day Mary looks at it as the show starts and makes like a face like
and
twitch
twitch,
worse and
It's
worse.
involuntary
reaching my
twitch.
breaking point.
and it's Mary just driven slowly nuts by Brett's hair, which just he refuses to cut at this point because you guys did
gosh.
this to me. You gave me
Now
the
you're gonna
blonde
get your
hair.
revenge.
Now
Do it.
I'm coming for all of you.
Waffle Sensei said, a good Christian hug leaves room for Jesus.
That's right. Gotta
So
hug
there's
me
like a gap,
that.
like
Yep.
is
It's like
that-
a triangle.
Is that a good Christian
That's
hug?
a good Christian
Yeah.
hug. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
I've heard that at like Christian school dances, they like keep a ruler.
Oh
and
my
they,
gosh.
like,
So funny.
Oh.
I don't know if this is true. This never happened in any of mine, but
Do they do that with the clothes? Do they double check your skirt length and stuff like
they
that?
did. They did.
Oh.
Oh, I have stories.
Do you want to tell us? one?
I won't. I
tell
won't
us
tell
one.
them because it makes my schools look bad
Oh.
Ah, well, you've done that already.
by existing.
But no, by telling us that the stories exist at all.
Now we're curious.
All right, Mary, do you want to tell everyone about this next story, which is about? Believe it or not, guys, believe it or not, I in my 36 years on this planet have never seen an episode of The Bachelor.
I haven't either.
You have not?
No, I haven't.
So I'm not exactly. I used to think I
I
wasn't.
haven't either. But I love escapist reality television.
Well, it's
and-
necessary.
And in general, I strongly support the concept of escapist television because,
Yes.
like we talked about in our previous segment, companies like Disney and Star Wars and Marvel, they want to give you they want every day of your life to be a beatdown of political messaging and garbage.
It's
Right.
not always the corporations, though, and I think that's what this story highlights. It's sometimes the fan base that ruins what they love for themselves because of the, really just the mental abuse that has been inflicted on
It
society.
is abuse. 100%.
Yeah,
So go ahead and lead us into this one.
Yeah.
Sure. So, fans of The Bachelor are now abandoning the franchise because it's not woke enough for their tastes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because that's doing an Uno reverse on the normal structure where the franchise and the people who run it are inflicting the wokeness on the fans who hate it.
Yes.
They're like, get woke or go broke.
I think maybe the fact that the fan base is likely 99% women
Yes.
is the reason that this happened this way.
Yep, that's it.
Western suburban women, man, they're
That's
gonna
why.
take down this planet if it's the last thing they do.
Yeah,
There's
and
problem.
now, like,
true.
I'm not a fan of The Bachelor, but there are increasingly more shows like it that I enjoy.
What
Like,
do you like?
Love is Blind is funny. I love Love is Blind, and I've watched Love Island. I think that's hilarious
Did
too.
either of you see Love on the Spectrum?
Oh no, but I heard of it.
Is that about autism?
I feel like
Yeah.
it. I don't know. Like I feel
No.
like it's making fun of them.
It felt. I saw exactly half of an episode and I turned it off. It felt exploitative to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I don't
awkward
like
to
that.
watch.
I don't know if it was.
I don't like that.
I'm kind of like, I might be overly sensitive to something like that.
I don't like. See, here's my theory about.
But if they
autism.
want to be on it, like they have the right
don't
to do that.
know.
But do they even have the ability to make that decision?
Some of them might. Some of them might not.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
No. Here's my theory about autism. I don't know if you guys have heard the extreme male brain theory. It's probably silly and dismissible, but at the same time, there's so many traits between autism that track so closely with just generally the male gender, like in the way they view the world. I'm just like, I don't think that you should be singling out people with autism and talking about them at all. I feel like we should be incorporating autism as something that is just part of the way people are. I don't know.
I'm triggered.
Yeah, are you?
That's
Well,
an
yeah,
interesting
just kidding.
conversation to have.
I would love to have that conversation because I want to learn more about it. I'll find someone. who
So
knows
The
about
Bachelor.
it.
Yes.
Anyway, back to The Bachelor.
So this publication interviewed a former fan of the show named Maya Ganoon. She said that she has recently made a clean break from the show, is never going to watch it or post about it again.
Are we in the Decider article?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
She said that now that she stopped watching the show, she is no longer vexed by a show she was supposed to be finding an escape in. But the reason she gave for being disillusioned with the show is that the franchise has a pattern of problematic behavior and systemic racism that reached a culminating point.
Are they just so spoiled now with woke TV that with the one time it's not woke, they're like, I just can't do it anymore.
The one time it resembles reality on reality television, they can't handle it.
It's kind of fascinating.
Which means that you are casting real people with real pasts and lives.
It's get woke or go broke now. It's
right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's a threat now.
And they've actually experienced a drop in viewership, probably for other reasons. Just the fact that you're in your 27th season or so
it's a lot.
of a repeating structure. It's hard to keep it fresh year after year, right?
A lot of the red pill men's red pill channels would like review The Bachelor.
No way, really?
Yeah, like they
What about The Bachelorette?
I think they did both.
Interesting.
It was kind of fascinating.
I feel like The
Yeah.
Bachelorette is more accurate to like how the dating world actually goes.
Yeah.
Which is why The Bachelor is more interesting. Like it's a bunch of women competing for one man.
Yeah, that's typically how it works.
But they've obviously expanded into other shows than their flagship. But anyway, the situation she was referring to was one that happened last year where their former host and executive producer Chris Harrison did an interview with their first black bachelorette named Rachel Lindsay, and she was pressing him to answer for the actions of a bachelorette contestant who was found out to have gone to a fraternity or sorority party in 2018 when she was in college that was themed after the Old South. It was called an antebellum party that was like plantation-esque
Remember,
theme.
the band Lady Antebellum is now just Lady A.
yeah, and they had to fight an actual black lady for that name.
And Dixie
dumb.
Chicks,
Best story of the
Dixie
century.
Chicks are now just the Chicks. And Ryan Reynolds once
Apologized
apologized
for
for
their
getting
wedding.
married at
Yeah.
a plantation because we live in a society full of complete weirdos.
Yeah.
So back at the time that this scandal happened, the girl did not answer for her actions immediately. It had been like 6 weeks since the photos of her at this party came out.
And because
she didn't
everyone
answer for it.
and because now everyone in America, in the world with social media, is always running for president all the time, you're not allowed to just not respond. You have to respond all the time.
No, you don't have
Yeah, interestingly, also they expected her to respond because that year on the The Bachelor, that was the first black bachelor, and she ended up winning and being in a relationship with this guy.
Did the guy ever end up saying anything about it?
I'm not sure.
I didn't see anything about that, but
I didn't read anything about that. I looked into the situation and I didn't see that. His name is Matt James. I didn't see that he spoke on it.
do we want to play this clip? You said you wanted to play a clip here.
Yeah, this is the interview that people canceled Chris Harrison for because he didn't outwardly reject he didn't deperson this contestant sufficiently for their taste.
What did I say?
So they
off
said
there?
that he should be off the franchise entirely.
What did I say off there? I said this guy is remarkably like even keel or something like
It's
that.
almost suspicious how even keeled
Yeah,
he is in the interview.
It's the most like level-headed response I've seen to this type of pushing ever. So let's just play a couple seconds or a little bit of this.
Erasing Lincoln and erasing Washington and erasing people because of what they stood for 180 years ago. I don't know. Is that right? Is it wrong? The woke police is out there, and this poor girl, Rachel, who has just been thrown to the lions. I don't know how you are equipped when you have never done this before to be woke enough, to be eloquent enough.
You're never woke enough.
To be ready to handle
not
this.
wrong.
And my guess is this woman needs a little time. And this is, again, what we didn't give Hannah. It's what we didn't give anybody. We don't give people time to have some perspective, to try and drink this in for a second, see how this affects their life, and then speak on it. And she will speak, my guess. And when she does, I'm going to hear her out. And if I disagree with her, if you disagree with her, then we can have our say. But I'm not sure why we are in such a hurry to throw this poor woman.
And then the interviewer pushes back and says, well, it's been too long and she should speak anyway.
Because
like
arbitrary
just
amount
no
of time, an arbitrary amount of time based on this person's opinion of you've had more than 8 minutes. How dare you not respond? It was like 6 weeks or something. She doesn't owe anyone an explanation.
And he's so right that you can't, not just about the never woke enough thing, but you are never eloquent enough to equal like a PR statement.
And all of these things are designed to be confusing enough that no response covers all of the things you need to cover. So you end up either talking in circles or you don't cover everything.
Your apology, explanation, or excuse can never be impervious to further further abuse, really, like further flagellation.
It's what stops me from arguing with people online, because these topics are designed to be nobody wins.
Yeah.
Nobody's allowed to win.
And people end up feeling like they're not doing it correctly, but the whole game is one that you cannot win. The only winning move is not to play. Which
I highly recommend. Look, I know it doesn't work for me. Like, I'm not somebody who likes to get into arguments with people online. A lot of people find that cathartic. I do not. I caution against it, because you're not changing hearts and minds that way, and it ends up becoming a mental drain on your own state of mind, and it becomes very, very bad for your mental health long term, in ways that you might not even realize it's happening as it's going on. Like, what'll happen is, like, okay, you get like the endorphin rush of thank you.
That startled me.
You get the endorphin rush of things. Thank you. Of arguing with someone, but you start to feel worse overall as time goes on, right? The more you do it, you don't realize it's affecting your mood until you pull yourself away from it for a period of time.
If you don't do it right. Here's what I will say. I will push you back on that a little bit. I argue with people online so that people watching can draw their own conclusions. Thank you very much. I want to give people all of the information, and I feel like a lot of the people out there on Twitter just yelling and screaming don't know. They don't have the information at their disposal, or either because they don't know about it or because they choose not to see it. And the reason I engage with that kind of thing is so that people who are undecided might see. Because you're not going to convince a true believer, but you might convince someone who's watching.
I guess that I always see it as, like, at what cost?
Well, like, I think that people engage with social media too casually. I view it as almost like a business undertaking. Like, this is how I'm presenting myself. This is how I want people to view me, as someone who can defend my own ideas.
Well, you are thinking about the greater good, and I'm just thinking about getting through the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, to be fair, if it does bring you down, you shouldn't do it. Yeah. But if you go into it with, like, this understanding, then I think that's different.
If in a one-on-one online argument, you are likely to have a draining effect, when a mob is coming after you, which is what this contestant was experiencing, it's even worse of a prospect. Now, this scandal blew up shortly after fans made something that I can't even believe exists. It's a Bachelor diversity campaign, BDC.
Oh my gosh.
That challenged ABC and Warner Brothers to meet 13 anti-racist standards. And a lot of them feel that they have not successfully met those standards and are now abandoning the franchise because of it. She said, I realized that I was one of those fans that was so invested in the show doing better, actually embracing inclusion in a way that wasn't exploitative, but fresh and authentic. We have people who are calling for progress, calling for change, and then we have people adamantly rejecting that. She's saying that there is a coalition in the fan base of The Bachelor that is conservative and MAGA and doesn't want the show to become more inclusive.
The article's like, I felt too close to the
Which really just
MAGA
means
crowd.
like, can we keep reality TV surface level and stupid the way it's supposed to be?
Yep.
It's like, it's not even a political stance.
Why does everything have to become some lame social justice cause that people don't want,
it's so
dude?
Boring. It's boring.
Make your own show.
And this is an ongoing problem where recently a Bachelorette contestant who won just had her fiance from the show exposed for doing blackface when he was in high school.
Maybe he hung out with Trudeau.
That's probably what it
Maybe.
was. Yeah.
I mean, this is just like, again, she's expected to answer for him and not him answering for himself. He did openly apologize on Instagram. He said, I wholeheartedly apologize for the insensitive photo of me in blackface from my high school yearbook that has been circulating. What I thought at the time was a representation of my love for Jimi Hendrix was nothing but ignorance. I was
No, it
naive
wasn't.
to the hurtful implications of my actions to the black community and those closest to me, and will forever regret my offensive and damaging behavior. I am deeply ashamed by my actions and understand that my apology is only the first step in taking accountability.
They always.
What's the next step?
They always give to a charity in the name that focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion. After you give to a charity, you write a memoir about how you're going to become an anti-racist, and you give the proceeds from that to charity.
This is something that is a recurring problem.
Stop
I guess,
apologizing
in
to
this,
these people.
In this franchise, you are casting real people with real personal histories, and they're using their real name and identity
Thank
on
you.
TV. And then when they don't abide by the same standards that mainstream celebrities do, or I don't know, your favorite YouTuber might, at least in appearances, then their character is indicted on in the same exact way as if they were a professional public-facing figure.
This
Like
is
as if
because
they
of-
were some kind of mainstream talent when they really were all but taken off the street for
Right,
this
exactly.
role.
The internet.
They're
has-
normal people.
The internet has created a world where all the world is a stage at last, where you're no longer allowed a private life, and everyone is a front-facing company, is a front-facing member of whatever they're a part of. You're not allowed a private life anymore.
Right.
You're not allowed to. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you can have it, but you have to almost not exist for that to be a thing. So now the hardest part for that is like the term was presentism that I saw, which is
What?
judging people from the past on present day standards, and that made that was always ridiculous to judge George Washington based on the standards we live with today.
Right.
But the society's morals and values are changing so fast now that you can't even judge somebody from 2005 based on the standards of the world we're living
this
in now.
show was started in 2002.
Yes.
I don't think
It's
that
a long run. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think if you knew the personal lives and history and everything that's ever been said or done by a Bachelor or Bachelorette contestant, I don't think that you would be happy
And
if
the
you knew
outsized-
all of these details.
The outsized response to somebody dressing up like Jimi Hendrix, it discourages actual cultural integration and showing love for something that you're not that you
I'm
weren't
not
inherently
saying
part of.
it's right or wrong or tasteful or distasteful, whatever he did.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen the picture, but that's kind of besides the point.
Yeah.
Like, he is being held to the same standard that someone literally running for office would be held to.
Everyone, like I said, everyone will now have to act like eventually one day your phone is just going to come with a built-in publicist. Like there will be somebody.
I
who
mean,
will
it's
film-
already built in with someone recording everything.
Yeah, like
say and
like,
do.
like,
So
it's gonna be like My Little Publicist. It's like My Little Pony, but it's My Little Publicist. It's like baby's first baby's first apology, like baby's first social media apology. You're going to be teaching your kids from a young age, like all the buzzwords. Like here's the baby's first 5 buzzwords, and they're going to have to learn this stuff from a very young age.
top
because,
10 mistakes to avoid when you're making a Notes app apology.
Yeah, it's,
Right.
That's the world we're living now.
Honestly.
I am fascinated. I'm kind of endlessly fascinated about the idea of get woke or go broke rather
Yeah.
than get woke, go broke.
It looks like this fan base has entirely ruined the show that they loved for the sake of performative slacktivism.
To be fair, I mean that's what happened to a lot of to Marvel. That's what a lot of these ones
did Marvel fans ruin Marvel for themselves?
I don't know.
I
if they-
can't say that's true.
Okay. I will say that Bob Iger and Kevin Feige clearly wanted to go that direction, but people not normies eating up everything that they make doesn't help. But this is what's going on with all of these fandoms. They're injected with this divisive content. and then people start losing interest. Disney just happens to be so massive that they can astroturf it to the point where it doesn't look like that. Where if you look at the box office for their movies, they've steadily gone down since Phase 4 or since Phase 3 ended. By the way, you guys, you should see Mary when she was trying to, like, when we were talking about the different phases of Marvel the other day.
Yeah, and the timeline of Phase 5 and 6 that haven't happened yet, and like,
She's
I
like,
just,
what is Phase 7? I'm like, I don't even know.
boy,
Is that a thing? Like, yeah. So
well, it's gonna be, right? It's like you never
will
have
go
enough
on.
iPhones.
It
You
will-
never have enough phases in the
it
MCU.
will go on forever.
It
So-
will go
Never
on
gonna die.
forever.
I saw a great thing the other day where a guy's like, want to have like your old iPhone, but you don't want the derision of not having a new one. It's like it's a camera guard that goes on an old iPhone that makes it look like an iPhone,
That's
like a new one.
hilarious.
It looks like it
Really?
adds it. Yeah, it's really funny. It's like, but imagine living in a
Ah.
society where you're now judged based on your phone. How many cameras does your phone have? Oh my
gross.
God! Like, so
You can't just ask someone why their phone doesn't have 3 cameras.
Yeah, exactly. So the Bachelor, the Bachelor is gonna go broke or else, and I guarantee you they end up bending the knee, but it'll be too late because capitulating is
know.
never the answer.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the show. I don't know how much it's changed over the years. I mean, another interesting qualm that they seem to have with the show is that it focuses too much on drama and not enough on romance.
That was the part I was like,
like, what are you talking about? Wasn't reality television always about exploiting people for drama?
I mean, all of them are like that. I'm always like, even the Kardashians. When you see like somebody crying and I'm like, there's a camera there.
Duh.
They're not actually. They can't actually be crying.
I mean, maybe they are.
It's like
I have no idea.
Have you seen the meme? It says like it's 2 lions in the woods about to have sex, and it cuts to like it says the National Geographic camera guy. He's got the cigarette in his
Yikes,
mouth
that's
while he's
cringe.
filming them. Yeah.
Yeah, so they said it used to be so aspirational to be the lead, and now everyone is snot-faced crying in all of the promos I see. Why would anyone want to do this to themselves?
Performative
Cloud chasing and money.
clout chasing.
Mainly cloud chasing, because reality television programs have never paid their contestants well.
I wonder what the
And alcohol. You're paid in alcohol for being
Yes.
on those shows, for sure.
We actually remember we had that one segment.
Yeah, we talked about a Love is Blind contestant who complained that contestants were not given enough water and food. They were only given alcohol.
We got a comment on that recently, and I thought I was interested because that was like it was a while ago that we did that. But I was thinking, like, how do they pivot their career? I guess they become influencers. Like,
They often do.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
and
the
they
only course
publicize their
left.
relationships
Like, I'm sure the women-
after the show is over. So, like, there is an aspect of the show that is real. People
Yeah.
do get engaged. It's kind of a forced plot line, if you will, to the show that you have to get engaged at
nothing
the end.
is real anymore, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Literally nothing is real anymore. I'm not even
good?
real.
Is
I'm
it
not even really
bad?
here. This
He's
is
a
fake. I'm a
projection.
hologram.
It's true, yeah.
I am a hologram right now. They're like nothing is real. Somehow everything is always fake, but at the same time you have to always be performatively honest and open about what you're sorry about.
Right.
It's
all
a weird like the
fake.
world we live in now is not conducive to healthy mental healthy mental state, nor is it conducive to healthy relationships with other people. The internet is in a lot of ways making us sick.
The internet allows for no vulnerability except for when you have to cut into the core of who you are to bleed for your wrongs of offending people.
You have to both be 100% perfect all the time until the point where you have to be 100% perfect in your not perfectness.
Right.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds
Not
that
as
sounds about
eloquent
right.
as I would have liked
No,
it
it
to
sounds
be.
right.
That's
Well,
fine.
be a beautiful loser.
Yeah,
That's what it's
basically.
about.
Yeah,
Basically.
that's all. That's it.
Let's go to
do
super
it.
chats, shall we?
Do it.
Quiet Inari said, Holy Spirit has to be able to pass through the hug.
That's right.
I want to know
At least that much room.
who was who was the person who originated the Christian hug?
Don't know.
I would like to meet that person.
I think he would take Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace and, like, you have to stick that in between you and hold it
it
up.
has to fit there.
Yeah. That's how it goes at the Christian school dances.
There's no Dostoevsky
That's
in
right.
between you and
That's
and
enough
that
room.
person.
That's
Yeah.
right.
1000 Foot T Ben said, The only time I saw The Bachelor was while getting petties with my sisters. I didn't want to watch, but it really is a train wreck you can't look away from. Yeah, I love these shows.
I am not that person.
I love how stupid they are.
I
not that
can't
guy.
watch
I don't
the
like-
train
I
wreck
cringe too
stuff.
hard.
I am an
Yeah.
anti-cringe person. Like
Yeah.
You hate watching cringe?
I do. It makes
That
me
must be a
uncomfortable.
generational difference because Zoomers are like obsessed with secondhand embarrassment.
When
They
you
love it.
watch cringe stuff, like when we're talking about, like I look for the transcript.
Like when we watched Eric Butts,
I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
you
great
hated
name.
it. It like was painful for you to watch,
Yeah.
but like I relish the cringe.
I can't. A lot of times
great.
you'll like, or like a lot of times like the clip the other day of like Don Lemon, and he gets like shut up by that.
Oh, I saw that clip.
I can't watch stuff like that
because it's embarrassing for him.
I feel.
Why don't you want to see Don Lemon embarrassed on live TV?
It's not that I don't want to see Don Lemon embarrassed. It's that I don't want to have to watch Don Lemon get embarrassed.
It's hilarious.
Well, if it makes you
though.
feel any better, the only thing that happens is that his face slowly like freezes behind the skin. It like stops moving, and then his eyes go dead. And then he's like, "Well, that's a really interesting conversation we could have some other time."
but
and
not
lets it
today
go.
because I
That's
don't
it.
know what to say to that.
It's really great, and I don't like cringe. It really wasn't.
It's
cringe.
got to be a generational thing.
It wasn't cringe in your opinion.
You're like 2 years older than me. It wasn't cringe.
No, that's what I'm saying. Me and you are a different generation than her.
That's true. I don't relish it as such. Yeah, the Don Lemon thing.
Maybe
didn't
if you
think was
feel it's
cringe.
deserved. You
See,
can
that
relish
that
it.
doesn't change anything
Maybe,
for me.
really?
Like knowing
It's
that
a
I don't like.
personality type thing.
It's a personality
Yeah, you're
type.
very
Like
compassionate.
watching Ben Shapiro embarrass some poor college student because the poor college student's a moron because they've been taught by morons doesn't make me feel good.
But I don't think Ben Shapiro never sets out to embarrass people.
No, they embarrass themselves. There's that really okay. There is one clip where there's a video where they talk. It's like why is Ben Shapiro so good at debating? And it's
He's
like
a
how
lawyer.
it's how he sets up people for.
Well,
like,
he also is debating people who are nowhere near an intellectual match.
yeah. But there's a point where like he asks somebody for the source. And somebody says something really stupid like the U.S. Census or something like that, and then they pause and everyone like starts to like laugh at this person. I don't want to watch that. I feel bad for the dude.
This is
the dude
But they're
clearly
putting
thought
themselves out there.
the dude
They're
clearly
asking
thought
the
he had
question.
them. The dude clearly thought he had him. He fell for the trap. It doesn't mean I want to watch
It's not a trap. It's just a Q&A session.
No,
they
it was
don't
a
have
trap.
to ask these questions. No, I think you're wrong.
They're volunteering to
100%.
be.
No,
embarrassed
I'm saying
online.
Ben's in that video. Ben lays the trap because he knows the dude is too eager.
Well, you also shouldn't ask for a source in a verbal debate. That's
It's
not,
hard to
that
give a
has
source.
no
Yeah.
preparation.
But the dude was ready with the answer and embarrassed himself. I don't even remember what the answer was, but it was very clearly stupid.
Right.
Right.
And I'm like, I start to cringe. And I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's
just me.
fine. That's fair.
I need to stop watching YouTube said, when have you ever seen someone change their mind?
It's actually really funny. There's videos where like it shows two people arguing, and then one person says, "I think you're right," and then the other person just stops, and their brain kind of like you see their face reset,
Right.
Because they don't know what to do because they
Right.
don't. You're
Because that doesn't even feel like winning.
no, it doesn't.
It would feel like winning to like embarrass them like Ben Shapiro.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
Rising Underdog said, I'm with Adam Carolla when he says stop apologizing. That's the only way to shut these idiots up.
100%.
Stop apologizing and ignore them.
Just be like
Yeah.
Chet Hanks, guys. Be like, yep,
Kick rocks.
kick
rocks.
rocks. They can.
The
I love
internet. The internet has no
great.
attention span anyway. They will move
Don't worry
on to
about
their
it.
next victim.
Yeah, you'd be
Right.
amazed.
1,000 Foot Deep End said, I'm all for people abandoning The Bachelor. Too bad it's for the wrong reason.
Yeah,
enough.
well,
Fair enough.
whatever.
Well, something is always going to come along to replace it, as we can see. Like, there are superior shows. Waffle Sensei said, it's a struggle session, and what they don't understand is that there is a stronger marketability for disagreeable people who will just say, F you.
Yep.
You just have to be brave enough to take that stance and hold out. They talk about how like Eric DeJuly's like made $3.5 million. He said you can be a millionaire too. You just have to tell these losers to shut up.
If you're
and
naturally
kick rocks.
disagreeable, then it doesn't really require bravery to say kick rocks.
Exactly.
I would think it's bravery if you weren't that way to start with,
Well, that's
but
what I'm
you
saying.
learned to be
It's an
more
acquired
resilient to the
skill.
criticism.
And what I remember from when Eric was on our show a couple times, highly disagreeable.
Yes.
Very unlikely to be canceled, which I think is good. It's
he's
a-
all,
it's
but
an
he's
important
also
trait.
very, very well spoken.
Right,
and
he's great.
like-
There's nothing wrong. Being disagreeable is not a character flaw.
no.
It's just a certain
If it was,
strength.
I'd be criticizing Mary all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. It's fine. We need people who are disagreeable.
That's why I'm here.
That's right.
Mary is here.
It is genuinely why I'm here, though, if I
It's
think
true,
about
yeah.
it. Like, the trajectory of my life would not be the
It
same.
would be different.
Mary is here to be the disagreeable one, and I am here to be the not disagreeable
That's
one.
right.
But also be the curmudgeon.
But somehow also be the
Yeah.
grumpy
Yeah,
person.
it's true.
It's a very anytime somebody tells you human beings are easy to quantify or talk about stereotypes, just remember that people are like impossible to
Just
actually.
look at us. Yeah.
We make no sense.
We
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, there you go.
James Riley said, The Bachelor needs to stay as it is. Also, as someone on the spectrum, I hate shows that exploit it because they oversimplify our daily
Right.
struggles.
I imagine like that's got to be the hardest part for a lot of it, right? Is like one of the things that I hate about TV and movies is like they always make like the hardest things, which are like the daily things, seem like the things that they just breeze by. But to me, that's the stuff that makes life really, really difficult. The daily struggles.
Yeah.
It's not the big decision you have to make. It's like it's all the little things to get there.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to really like in sobriety, they always turn in movies and television, sobriety is always turned into like a montage of sorts of them getting clean when that's not actually how it works. The same thing would go for
It's not linear.
no, it's
Life
not.
is like more complicated than
so
that.
I would be interested to know what what James's thoughts were on Love on the Spectrum. That would be very interesting because I would be interested to know what people in that community actually thought of it. I also want to point out that I believe it was Waffles last night who said to Tim that they would be better, that they could be one day as big as Pop Culture
That's
Crisis.
right. Waffles did say that last night, and I
Waffles,
agreed with Waffles.
I love it. I
Doing
love it.
God's work.
We
over
hope
on
so,
IRL.
too.
Yeah.
That they can one day.
We
have
wish
high
them the
hopes.
best.
Yeah.
That they're a
Genuinely.
scrappy startup over there at Timcast IRL. That host, he's got real potential.
We
That's
really
right.
applaud their
Um,
efforts.
Yeah.
So
Well
but-
wishes.
But thank you, Waffles, for reminding the boss that
Who's
that
boss?
Exist. Yeah.
who's boss.
It's Pop Culture Crisis.
1,000 Foot Deep End said using deeply in these fake apologies is ironic.
It really
It
is.
really is. It's always like it's like,
shallow.
I am going to learn and I am going to do better. They're always going to
Shrink and
better.
forget. That's
Shrink
what
and
we
forget.
say.
All right, guys, we're going to move on. We're going to do Podluck, and I think to start, I've got some. It might be good news. It might be bad news. This is a rumor, that Daredevil Born Again, which we have talked about here. I don't believe it's going to be anything like the comic book, the Frank Miller comic book. I believe it's literally being used as Born Again because they're taking the same actor and redefining the role as a dorky Marvel property at Disney rather than a serious Marvel property at Netflix. But it says, Daredevil Born Again rumor claims that Jon Bernthal will return as the Punisher, which would be very, very cool. I know you guys have
Why
not
would
seen
it be
this.
Cool if they're going to slapstick him too?
Okay, I
Like, the less people are involved in this, the better, right?
I'm still. There's still that they've got me.
You
kind
have
of
a
like-
shred of hope.
I've got
Why?
a shred.
Tell me why.
I'm like a candle
They
yet
are.
to be blown out.
He's
Daredevil is rumored to be in a relationship with She-Hulk
God
in this
help us.
universe.
God help us.
Canon. This is
Chaos.
canonical.
Chaos.
That
I love it.
one of my favorite things
He is
about
canonically in the sheets with She-Hulk.
in the She-Hulk sheets.
In
That's
the
it.
In the
Sheet
Sheet-Hulks.
Sheet-Hulks.
There you go.
One of my favorite things is like the people who like love to the take that you incel crowd who love to like use this against like how like they relish taking something you loved growing up and ruining it for the sake of modern day identity politics, and their favorite thing to do is like, oh no, it's canon now.
And pretend to be fans all along.
Always
say
pretend
that
fans.
that character and that story was special to you, but if that were true, you wouldn't be ruining it, would you?
So basically, the idea here is that they're going to bring Jon Bernthal in as the Punisher. Now, there are reasons to think that this could be good, being one that you're like naive and still have a shred of
Like
hope,
you.
like me. The reason
Like being stupid. No.
Yes, like being stupid.
Like being a clown.
Exactly. Hey.
Okay,
hey.
sorry.
Oh,
I don't know what's
That you
taking over
outed
me.
me misspelling "be careful" earlier. We're gonna have to talk after the show. But there are far more reasons to be extremely distrustful of such an idea coming to fruition. One, there's a comic run that they did recently in which, in Caper 2X will know, where basically like they took the guns away from the Punisher and they changed the logo because take that, you incels, because cops like the Punisher logo and people in general, they're like, look at this cool skull.
It's always
right.
You like this thing for the wrong reasons, therefore we're going to ruin it.
Yes. And to be fair, the creator, I forget who it is off the top of my head, the creator of the Punisher has been openly critical of like military and law enforcement being like fans of the skull, partially because the Punisher shouldn't be a police icon because the character's a vigilante and very brutal. But so that's not good. 2, the tone is not going to be the same. So the last thing, it might be funny. I might be able to hate watch like a slapstick show where he's just offing people left and right with his weapons, and it's done to like dun 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 dun.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the reason they want to ruin the Punisher is the same reason that they wanted to ruin the boys by the end of it, because they amassed a fan base that they didn't like.
They don't like the fans. They hate the fans.
And like, sorry, but you're making money. Why is that not good enough for you?
Because
you're an ideologue.
Yes, as we know with Disney, they're ideologues. And so we've got Matt Murdock supposedly getting in the sheets with She-Hulk. God help us all.
Ooh, gross.
I'm dry heaving.
The real question is, will he twerk with her and
they're
Megan
going
Thee
to they're going to CGI Daredevil's ass and make him twerk with Megan Thee Stallion.
This is too much. Why?
So basically, they're saying that they're supposed to be bringing Christian Ritter back to play Jessica Jones. That's another one you can't do. The themes of the show, Jessica Jones, were so serious. Themes based around the concept of assault, bodily autonomy, consent. Very, very serious themes.
Well, clearly they lack the self-awareness to continue upon those themes.
Yes.
Well,
So,
or respectfully, right?
Or to give it the amount of the serious tone that such a thing requires, right? It's like She-Hulk being like, my life's been worse than you because guys catcall me, and he's like, I was literally run down and chased by the government for a decade. She's like, well, guys catcall me, and then in the next episode, she's twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, completely oblivious,
like so tone deaf.
Speaking of deaf, I think Matt Murdock is also going to appear in Echo, the character. You didn't watch Hawkeye, but Echo was the character in that one. I had a fair amount of criticism for that, for making a show based on that character, because the lead actress, Alaqua Cox, had no acting experience before doing the show. And she didn't have a breakout performance. Like, there was nothing.
How did she end up in that role?
Open casting calls. She's both in real life. She is deaf and also I believe she's missing a leg. So
is that related at all?
Yes, to the character.
To the character.
But the idea here is like there was nothing in her performance that was like, oh my gosh, give this person a show, right? Like with Reva, and they're like, we're gonna give her a show. I'm like,
well,
there was nothing in that performance.
For nobody with no acting experience, maybe it's better than they had any right to expect, right?
But still not enough that it justified a show. Yeah. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I saw nothing in her performance that said we need to strap the rocket to this one and put a bunch of money behind them.
At least with Moses Ingram, she did have acting experience, and she's a hit or miss actress, I think, not on the whole bad.
Yes. So Jessica Jones' return has been rumored, but now they're saying that they want to bring him back. If you guys remember, you guys have not seen it, but in the Daredevil series, there are a couple of scenes. One of them on top of a rooftop, Matt Murdock as Daredevil talking with Frank Castle, and then another one at a graveyard. I encourage both of you, even without the context of the show, to go and watch those clips and tell me that there's even the slightest shred of possibility that Disney would be able to achieve anything even remotely close to that level of emotional resonance and connection, given the ridiculous slapstick over-the-top tone in which they've taken all of their properties. It won't work. But the little naive shred of hope I can have tells me maybe it will work. Will it? Probably not. We will have to wait and see.
Disney takes all adult entertainment into this funnel and just makes it kid-friendly.
Yep. All of it. It's not even kid-friendly. It's just human-friendly.
It's
like
so
it's
generic.
literally
It's so
designed to.
corporate.
It's like I have a conspiracy theory that I think Jeff Bezos created the Rings of Power to be both good enough to turn on and leave on, but bad enough that you start looking at your phone and buying stuff off Amazon Prime.
Yeah, this is like more than just a Disney problem. It's
Yeah.
an industry trend.
Yeah, that comes from entertainment being so sanitized now. It has to be so inoffensive. It has to be so pleasing to so
Trying and failing to globalize, and
doesn't work.
there's just endless
So,
factors.
do with this information what you will. I don't know if it's a cause for celebration, but we will keep an eye
Probably
on
not.
it, and we will see where it goes. Also, you can't make fun of anyone. You can't make fun of the president.
You can't make fun of our dear leader because this is North Korea, not North America.
That's right.
You want to go ahead and tell
Thank
people
you.
about this one?
Yeah, it's a story.
Sure. Tim Allen tweeted the other day, Biden was on 60 Minutes. I heard he asked how long the show was.
Which is like the most boomer joke
It's
ever.
not that
Like
funny.
it's
but
not
I
that
understand.
funny
It's not
and it's
funny
not
at all.
original. I'm sure it's something that he already had seen and he just repeated
I
it.
appreciate
for
it though.
laughs
I
and
like a
retweets.
sense of humor.
Yeah, but then he got flamed online because you're not allowed to say anything critical of our president. It's not like we have free speech or anything.
It's well,
So-
in Trump world.
Yeah, and then what's especially mean? They also tried to hit him where it hurts, mentioning that it's the same length as Lightyear, which he had no
Yeah.
involvement in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Um,
shunned from that.
He was shunned from
so
Lightyear.
rude.
Have you ever seen his mugshot?
Tim Allen?
He got
mugshot?
arrested.
What did he
for,
get
he got
arrested
arrested
for?
for
It's up
like
right
trafficking cocaine
Ooh,
in the 70s.
Spicy.
Oh my goodness.
He's living his best
His
life.
mugshot is incredible. In fact,
Tim
Go off.
Allen mugshot.
But they told him to stay in his lane, which I hate.
Oh, I love this
Isn't it
so
incredible?
much. This is incredible. I have friends who look like this. That's
Oh, wow.
so good. It's great. It's in.
Can you
he
try to
embodies the
describe it for
70s.
those
If
listening?
you're listening, it's
the
like
mustache.
it's like he
It's
literally walked off a 70s porn set.
It's true. He looks great. I love it.
He's literally leaving the set of Debbie Does Dallas right now.
He's rocking
in
it.
this, and he's like, yeah, I was trafficking cocaine in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah, it's all good.
One of the responses to his tweet said, "You were funny before you started expressing your political beliefs. Now you're just irrelevant." I think that's really hypocritical, considering
yeah.
that every other celebrity voices their political beliefs
Imagine a
and
world
doesn't
yes.
get pushed back
Right.
when it fits the narrative.
To be fair, I have been known to. I mean, we've been known to being like, look, they're just trying to stay relevant. They're spouting their political opinions just because they're not relevant anymore. That's a fair criticism. It's only allowed to be one way now.
Yeah, it's not like I found his tweet especially funny or I find Tim Allen especially charming. I don't really care. I just think you should be allowed to joke about whatever you want. And it's not even expressing a political belief.
Nope. What they need to do is they need to bring back Home Improvement. I don't know if you guys ever watched. Home Improvement was not even
Discovery
close to a
was
thing.
standard. So good.
They need to bring back Home Improvement. The guy who played Al Borland looks the exact same now as he did when he was on the show.
Wait, I remember this show.
Yeah,
That's a great show.
So
He looks like
watched this
Sargon.
show.
that's how Pamela Anderson got her start.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, really?
wow.
She
Didn't
was
know
the
that.
she was the Tool Time lady in the
That's funny.
early part of the show. It's a fantastic show.
It was
Al
all right.
should-
I don't know if I'll say it's fantastic.
It's fun. Yeah. It's a fun
For the
show.
time, okay, maybe that's the nostalgia.
Yeah, it wasn't too great.
I watched it on Nick at Night, I think.
yeah.
See, amazing.
Sargon of Akkad could play Al Borland. Changed
Yeah,
my mind.
absolutely good.
Changed my
Think?
mind.
Yep, he's got the
beard.
His beard is exactly
the
the
body
same
type. It's the dad.
we-
you know.
We would need to give Sargon like a flannel shirt and
Probably
a
wouldn't
tool
be
belt.
difficult. Yeah.
And a tool belt, and we could have Sargon play Al, and then who here could play Tim Allen? Who here could play?
Tim Allen, of course.
Well, yes, okay,
Tim and
fine.
Sargon.
Tim
there
and
you
Sargon,
go.
that's,
That'd be great.
So
Home Improvement, Born Again.
there you go.
I also like Tim Allen as the Randy Quaid of comedians. That is like leave
That's pretty
Randy,
funny.
You leave Randy Quaid alone.
That's right. Stop picking on people.
Leave
and
him
al-
alone.
Also, they capitalized Trump and world into one word.
Have you seen it when they
Trump
censored
world.
Trump? They put a star in place of the U. It makes me want to
Can you-
die.
Can you get censored
They
for
do-
saying Trump's
No,
name?
they do
now?
that so that you can't search it on Twitter.
Somebody
Yeah.
censored the letters MAGA. They
Yeah.
put a star in place of the A, and I was like,
That's
what
a slur now.
actually is. I guess they don't want him to trend.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they do that
Yeah,
on purpose.
that
It's
makes
like when
sense.
they vague book names on Twitter. They either say the whole name, your first, middle, and last name, or they don't say your name at all.
Is vague book a play on Facebook or?
Yes.
is-
Yes,
Yeah,
it's like
vague
when
booking.
you. It's like,
I've never
it's like
heard
saying-
that before.
It's a term like if you're like I've got a big announcement to make, but I can't make the announcement yet because the announcement is secret. So I've got this. Something's changed. You say a bunch
Yeah.
of vague stuff, and it's supposed to indicate that if what was her name, Sumner, was like, I had she's like, a fling happened with a kind of big celebrity.
Well, that's often what
gross.
influencers do. They
Yeah.
post TikToks or YouTube videos vague booking,
Yep.
as you say, whoever they hooked up with that's like a minor celebrity, and then do the big reveal.
I also want to point out before I want to move on, and I want to point out that Drew Barrymore is a dick. Okay.
Wow. I
Why
don't want
so?
to...
Drew Barrymore
behind
is not
that.
impressed by Andrew Garfield giving up sex for 6 months before filming Silence. So basically, you saw Silence, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to say, like, Silence is maybe one of my favorite movies.
Well, Andrew Garfield
I
gave up.
hate the ending, though.
Andrew Garfield, the method actor that he is, was like, look, I'm going to play. What is he? Plays a priest?
He plays a missionary priest, yeah.
Okay, so he's a priest, and he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give up sex for 6 months. And I imagine that if you're a famous actor with good looks and money, that's, a guy, a regular everyday dude could give up sex for 6 months very easily.
No one would notice,
and
no
nobody
one would
would
be affected
notice.
except him.
But
I mean, I think it's interesting that he decided to publicize this information.
I had to resist from making the joke
little
like 6
weird.
months, like week, like that.
It's a little weird that he talked about it publicly. Like, it's, I don't know.
And she's like, big deal. I did that once. Like,
What was her reason?
she did it for her. She says, I definitely did on certain projects, like when I did Grey Gardens, this film where I played beloved real life woman Eddie Beale. Barrymore added.
Edie Beale?
Is it Edie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only one.
Eddie
D.
is a girl's name now, though. You can name girls Eddie.
That's
Oh,
dumb.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Dumb.
It says, I was so nervous I didn't really chit chat with everybody on set. I just really stayed in character. He did it on purpose. It sounds like you were just awkward.
Yeah, it sounds like you were just bad at life.
Yes.
And it didn't work out for you. Not the same. This is intentional. Having intent is way different. So being a priest is different from being an incel. Like, let's just get that straight.
yes,
Let's
it
just
is.
get that out there. It's
The
true.
involuntary part is not accurate.
Yeah,
Who was
literally.
it
Yeah.
that originally called method acting BS?
Mads Mikkelsen said,
Is it that Garfield was responding to?
could be. There have been a lot of articles recently of people. Brian Cox from Succession recently did a thing where he called it American S
Yeah.
word. A
He
lot
said,
of them,
I don't think you know what method acting is if you're calling it BS, or you just worked with someone who claims to be a method actor who isn't actually acting the method at all.
what he's referring to here, and I'm almost positive he's talking about Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Yeah. It's also, he said, it's also very private. I don't want people to see the effing pipes of my toilet.
That's fair.
I don't want them to see how I'm making the sausage.
All very fair.
but he does want to somehow tell you that he didn't have
Yeah,
sex for 6
why?
months, so that
Yeah.
doesn't really track.
Yeah.
But I really do feel like poor method. I believe was Daniel Day-Lewis a method actor? I don't remember.
Jim Carrey, right?
But
Basically pretended to be Andy Kaufman for months.
the point was
Inaccurately.
like, yes, badly. the point was that that Jared I always want to call him Jay Leno, not Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Very
That's-
different.
Don't
Don't
show
confuse
your
the two.
generation.
very different chins.
Yeah.
Like he's like
Very
it
different chins.
became like a code for just being a dick to everyone on set. Like he sent like used condoms to Margot Robbie.
That's
she was
rude.
like, thanks, I think.
He's like, I'm in character.
Are you
I don't know
now?
what that. I don't know what used
Creepo.
condoms has to do with the Joker, but
Disgusting.
you know.
What the heck?
Makes him feel artistic and wild.
Yeah, so Heath Ledger did that without being so freaking creepy.
Heath Ledger was not a method actor.
But he
Heath
really
Ledger-
got into the character. That was
That
part of
is-
what depressed him.
No.
told.
That is a from what I understand, that is a misunderstanding.
His
that
coworkers said
he
that.
was
Fake news.
he had problems sleeping before he took that role on, and that from what Jonathan Nolan said, that he was able to come and go from that character just fine on set. Okay. I don't know if that's true.
Good.
But from what I understand, that he had a problem with sleeping well before that movie was shot. But the problem is that movie mythologized that character. His death mythologized that character in a way that everyone now, where playing the Joker has become a cultural touchstone the way playing Batman has.
Right.
It really is due
Can
to
never be
his
repeated.
passing away.
Yeah, it's true.
It was important to get that role before, and there certainly were people that were like, Heath Ledger is not Look at This Pretty Boy, A Knight's Tale, or the highly underrated classic 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, he's not fit for this role. He can't play that role. Sure, that would be a conversation, but it is a far bigger conversation now because he passed away and because it played such a role in him, in how his death was viewed.
Yeah, it made it iconic. It really did.
But yeah,
Well,
so
fine.
Drew Barrymore can just leave him alone. Okay.
Yeah, be nice.
6 months
It's not
for
that
a
big a
handsome, good-looking, rich dude. It probably felt
what?
probably
Well,
felt like
if
an
he
eternity.
were,
She sounds
you
like a
said he was like
femcel.
engaged or married or something during this period.
He's
or
not
no?
anymore. He's
Oh,
not,
But
there
he
you go.
was at the time.
I don't know if he was. He was with Emma Thompson.
Okay.
Emma Roberts.
I mean, it makes
Emma
sense
Roberts.
that
Those
he would
Emmas.
want to give up certain comforts.
No Fat November
before this
became No
role.
Fat 6 months.
He's
There you
supposed to
go.
be pretending that like he's undergoing extreme torture in the film where they're like hung upside down for hours until they die.
Yeah.
So, or else you can renounce your faith, right? Like that's the kind of torture that he was simulating undergoing in this film. I understand why he would try at least to do some minor penances in his normal life. But maybe making that particular detail public isn't necessary.
Also, the annoying Drew Barrymore can come in and tell you that you're not that impressive. So, all right, we've got that, and then we've got one more thing. We have an update.
We have a very happy update for all
so
of you.
mystified by this.
Frosk has been dethroned at G4 TV.
Who
We got
is this?
as soon-
Who is
okay.
this?
She was hired by G4 TV by XPlay to host G4 TV and went on a very, very famous now like
Video game
sexism
news network.
sexism in gaming
This
rant.
is Gamergate nonsense, isn't it?
It's Gamergate
No,
rehashed.
it's rehashed.
almost.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, if you look at the rant that people got mad at, it's essentially just rehashing the same
talking points.
talking
Gamergate.
points as
Boring.
I'm not
Gamergate.
here to
Because
be
it
a-
can never die, right?
and you're not allowed to be hot anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This lady clearly has a
Or
bone to pick.
Maybe this is proof of the democratization of the internet. You're allowed to be hot. You just have to go into business for yourself.
You also
You're-
have to pretend that being hot has nothing to do with your success.
No, I think a lot of the Twitch streamers are very aware and lean into their hotness. Okay, you can do it.
I
but
hope so.
You got to
but
go
a lot
into.
of them do deny that their looks have anything to do with
well,
the
then
fact that
they're
they're
delusional.
successful. Yeah, that's delusional, but they do.
And that doesn't make
They do
them
say that.
And by the way, that's not a condemnation of them. It's not saying that they're not smart. It's not saying that I'm saying that why lessen something that clearly works for you if it's something you work hard at? Like I do kind of laugh at the guys who are like, look at these girls who get thousands of likes for a picture. I'm like, well, they work out 6 days a week,
make it into
they
their
adhere to
business.
strict diets,
Right.
which allows that picture to be appealing to people, right?
Right.
So Frosk, and by the way, like right after we posted that, of course, our last one, the video goes up the next day. She got
Right.
fired, like literally
She's
that
fired,
day.
and then
day.
and then it looks
comments,
like
of
we don't
course.
know.
Yeah.
But it's. I love this story because karma's a bitch, and
yeah.
you were stunting on your own former coworkers who got laid off all on the same day.
Yep.
Posting a meme about it like it was no big deal when you're talking about people's livelihoods, people who aren't. Who are behind the camera, not in front of it.
Almost like the
And
let's play
it
some,
serves you right that you then are dethroned.
the I survived part was bad enough, but the let's play some games, y'all part is what really pissed me
When
off.
playing games is not what you're about. You're about lecturing people. You don't like video games. You like feeling that you're in a
Superior.
position of power over
Yeah.
Yep.
people who play the games and want only to focus on the games instead of your personality.
There's it says I survived, and then it's got the ugh.
The
Her teeth
deal
just
with
always
it
tick
and the,
me off.
and the blunt
That's all I care about.
She looks like
Machine Gun Kelly.
well, it's like
Yeah,
if,
she
if
does.
time
Oh my
traveler
gosh.
time traveler bumps a chair, and then it's a picture of Machine Gun Kelly. And it's this. That's
true.
who it is.
I never
It looks like
understood
an
her teeth.
MGK impersonator
Yes,
who's
it
not
does.
doing it very well.
It's the tattoos. Yeah, honestly.
So, you know what, guys? Things go right sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta love the
I am not a fan.
faux magnanimous tone to the farewell tweet, right?
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much, G4 TV. Loved my time here.
If only she had been that magnanimous before.
right.
Maybe she should've
You
tried
changed your
being
tune
nice.
real quick.
Yeah.
And I am
Didn't
not
you?
one to relish somebody getting fired, but I do also believe that actions have consequences.
Nah, she deserves it.
So,
Brat.
well, I'm-
If she's trying to make fun of 20 to 30 other people who lost their job,
I don't know if she's trying to make fun of him. I think she's just tone deaf.
I mean, essentially, she's saying that.
Or she's so divorced from she's so detached from the reality that she made this plot, that she made it possible, that she doesn't put in, it's not in her mind that she's the reason, the main
she's
reason they
completely
got fired.
minimizing the importance of all of those other staff members.
But in also, and not understanding the importance of her actions that
not
caused
understanding that as someone in front of the camera, you need to be likable and not hate your audience and look like an insufferable C word.
It is insane to me now how the fans have been so deprived that now the bare minimum they ask is like, could you just
Here.
not hate me?
That'd be
You
nice.
can look, this is, I will say this time and time again. You can pick a struggle. You can be mean, but you have to be hot.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
you can be nice and ugly, but pick a struggle.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. I think you summed it up.
But we have Frost here looking
See?
like
Mary.
MGK.
Mean and hot, mean,
and being
nice and
mean to
ugly.
the audience? No,
Balance.
that cannot fly.
It's perfectly in
I love
balance.
it.
It
as all
cannot
things
fly.
should be.
Correct.
We are the yin and the yang of this situation here. It's perfect.
We picked our struggles.
Yes,
and our strengths
exactly.
perfectly.
I love it.
Didn't
it
we?
works. All right, guys. There's some super chats there.
Yes, let's go. 1,000-foot deep end said, I live for the day I meet someone named Tim and get to deadpan use Al Borland's most iconic line, I don't think so, Tim.
I don't think so, Tim.
I don't think so, Tim.
Taxi Platy said, Lydia, not to simp, but you had a post recently about an ex being rude to you.
Oh,
Well, they're wrong. You look great. You're dope, and Andy is a lucky man.
I appreciate
Winky
that. I
face.
was feeling sorry for myself. Made a post about stuff my ex used to say, very rude, and I was like, I see this all in the chat, like all night. People are just
Thank you,
constantly,
guys.
oh, you've gotten fat. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I get it. I have my own mirror. It's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. But
Do
thank
you
you. I
guys-
appreciate that.
Do you guys ever I don't think Mary does this, but do you ever post stuff and then regret?
Sometimes.
I very rarely.
I don't think that Mary feels remorse for any of her
I don't
actions.
think-
Soulless now.
Well, it's not about remorse for your actions, but it's
Yeah.
oversharing. I
Yeah.
try to
Like,
the
oh,
other.
I said too much.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
share much.
I type out stuff a lot, and then I'm like, why would I share this with people?
You're like, wait a
And I-
second.
So the other
Crap.
last Friday, I posted basically it was like rough week, here's to a better week next week, which is about as
Yeah.
open as I'm going to be in that situation.
Not
but
a lot of vulnerability there. It's
No.
just, had a rough week.
But a
Yeah.
lot of it is you type something out, and I'm like, nobody's going to understand because it's usually such an intricate situation that
Yeah.
it's just going to lead to
Are
people.
you vague booking your own life?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's
then,
fine.
And then the idea is you'll post it, and then you'll get a bunch of messages saying what's the
Are you
problem?
okay?
Right.
And then I
Yeah.
don't want to actually have to explain it to a bunch of
that
people.
sounds
So
like
it's
work.
yeah, so it's you've kind of trapped yourself, and it's I want to share, but I don't want to have to explain what I'm sharing. The only way to fix that is to actually do it with people in person.
Right,
That's
exactly.
true too. That's true. I think it's a good rule of thumb to keep your complaints in person.
Yes.
To people who commiserate, of course. And I also think that there's a great deal of professionalism to not airing all that online.
Absolutely.
I had one night ever, I think, where I was like, you guys, I talked about this. I was like, when you're doing your work, do people come stand behind you and watch? Do 1.34 million people come stand watching you work? No, they don't. This doesn't happen to you. Because I worked in a hospital and I was like, doctors would come in and you forget how to put gloves on. It's
Yeah.
being watched makes your work Hard.
That's there's the meme. It says like me who's like really good at my job, and it says me when somebody's watching. This guy trying to write with a pen with the cap on, like
It's like upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's I'm the same way.
Right.
I'm the same
Right,
way. Like,
but you want to keep it professional.
if people were to come up here like while we're doing the show, I'd be like, "Welcome to Culture Pop Crisis."
Crisis, crop, poulture.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's great.
Vulture
Yeah.
crop crisis. Hi. Oh, hello.
Vulture
Yeah.
crop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
My favorite show.
that's what it is. So there's some more there. And I didn't mean to say that you don't that you have no remorse. That's not what I said.
Well, it would be true, but you shouldn't say it. That's mean.
It's a secret.
James Ornthal Wen said Drew should go play in the rain and chase lightning. Aw, that's mean.
Poor Drew.
Chase lightning. There's nothing bad there.
It's also a sad fact that a woman will never understand the struggle of like not being able to have sex because a woman can have sex anytime she wants.
Okay,
if
now
she
you're
really
oversharing.
can.
Now you're
No,
oversharing,
that makes
Brett.
sense to
wants.
me.
I didn't relate that to me. I'm saying we're relating to that story.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different.
Nathan Settlemeyer said they need, quote, people like Mary.
What does that mean?
Interesting. I don't know.
Well, you tell me. You're the
Less
one who said it
agreeable.
yesterday, right?
What did I say?
They're
People
disagreeable.
like Mary.
In what?
I don't even remember the context now.
Dude, people are like, you said this on the show. I'm like, huh, I did.
It was like,
Oh, did I? I don't know.
Like, what were we talking about? Guys, chat, what were we talking
Tell
about?
us what we were talking about. I wasn't here yesterday.
maybe
Nope.
Wow, I
Drawing a
legitimately have
blank.
no idea.
Like,
If I look at our show notes from yesterday, maybe
the
I'll
other
know.
the other day like, the other day like sometimes like I'm like naming the segments afterwards for like the post-production and I'm like legitimately like what the hell did we talk about
don't remember
in
what we
segment
talked
2
about.
it was
Yeah.
literally an hour earlier like
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Gosh.
don't even know what I had for lunch.
do you remember Mary?
Let's be real.
We talked about The Little Mermaid. I don't know.
What were we talking
I guess
about?
it was talking about how like I look inoffensive and then I just speak and I offend many people.
It's what you're good at.
Disagreeable.
I'm
Which we like.
disagreeable.
Maybe they're referring to today when we were talking about people refusing to apologize.
Well, yesterday Brett did say the phrase "people like Mary." I just forget why, and then we joked about how it sounds like he's like saying some kind of slur.
Yeah.
You, people like you.
Yeah.
Well, that's like did you see the Baywatch remake? No,
No,
just
No.
okay.
no.
Well, there's a classic like "you people" line. And guys, "you people."
I do know Hannah Claire has a headshot of David Hasselhoff in her office right now.
Really?
I
Tell
don't know
us
why.
more. I need to know
I don't
why.
know why. We'll have to address it on the show
Yes.
next week.
I've
need to
got
know why.
questions.
I
Yep.
have questions too.
See, my hope is that she doesn't actually like Baywatch. That she was secretly like a huge Knight Rider fan.
I have no idea.
Like that would be
Great.
pretty cool.
We'll
like,
find
awesome.
out.
her first car
on
like,
Tuesday
she
next
wanted to
week.
get the
Yes.
car from Knight
Hidden
Rider.
depths, yeah.
The,
I love
the
it.
Hoff. Don't you dare hassle
Right.
him.
Don't
Titanic
hassle him.
Panic said now she has more time to play games and less to lecture her audience.
That's right.
Win for everyone.
Right.
But by the way, in what I meant by when I referenced the Baywatch movies, there's a line where he says "you people," and then Zac Efron's character goes "you people," and the guy in The Rock goes "you're just tan."
Oh, oh my gosh. That's actually
That's
really
funny,
funny.
actually.
That's funny.
I need to stop watching YouTube, said Poop Culture Crisis.
That's right.
That's what would
It is a
happen.
crisis.
That's what would happen if somebody
cultures.
came up here and they were like, and all of a sudden I'm like, God, I'm on now. I got to be good, and then I would be the opposite of good.
It would all
Though,
be
to
Don't
be
work
fair-
well under pressure?
No.
Some people work best under pressure. I don't know.
To be fair, like there are days where like I'm exhausted at just the concept of doing the show because it does feel like pressure in a certain way all the time. Like there are a lot of days where I leave the show feeling like I did not give my most eloquent performance. Some days are good, some days less so, but that's because everyone has their own scale in which they judge their work by.
Right.
Right? So
True.
it's different. It's even worse if somebody comes up here and is watching us while we're doing it.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Action Man said Frost has Grinch teeth.
I think she does. Oh my gosh.
She's not the most fortunate looking person, but I do think that if she wanted to look better, she could.
You think it's a choice?
It's just choice. It's
a choice.
mostly a choice. Carnell said Mary is unbreaded. I don't know what that means.
It is true.
There's also a
be
comment
fair.
here in the chat that says Hannah Claire got it in the mail and didn't know who it was.
That
she
sounds
Didn't
apparently-
know who
right.
David
That's
Hasselhoff
all it
was.
was.
I don't even
That's
understand
so
why it
funny.
was addressed to her.
Not
Like,
a woman of culture, I see.
That's
Why?
hilarious. Oh.
but why? We'll have to
Why
will
does
have to talk
anyone
to
ask
send us
her
anything?
ourselves. I guess it's true that I'm unbreaded.
You are
so
indeed. Sorry. I hate to
I
give
don't
it
know
to you.
why it's relevant to point this out, but thank you.
Thank you.
What does unbreaded mean?
It means I'm not breaded.
She doesn't have bread on her.
Like I don't have
Right.
a crust.
Duh.
Oh,
Duh, bread.
okay. So you're like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
An
that
Uncrustable?
somebody's-
An Uncrustable?
Yeah.
Hey, I love Uncrustables.
I have
Hey,
no
don't knock
idea.
Uncrustables.
I have
Leave
no idea.
Uncrustables alone. All right, guys. Lydia, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Would you please
guys.
tell everyone where they can find
Yes,
you?
you guys can find me tonight. On I was about to say Pop Culture Crisis.
Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can find her tonight if you want to watch this episode again. You can rewatch it.
You can watch it
Yeah,
again. Yeah. But you can actually find me doing my actual job over at Timcast IRL.
Because this
8,
isn't a
10
job.
PM. It is a job. No, this
is
is
a
a
hobby.
privilege. Okay, this is a privilege to be here, Brett, and I appreciate it. Thank you. You guys can also find me on social media. I'm on Twitter at minds.com and sourpatchlids, as well as a site Andy put together for me called sourpatchlids.me.
Mary, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and whenever I post articles on timcast.com, I promote them there. Also, Caper2X said, Mary, tomorrow wear a beanie or a different cap.
Yes,
We
elf
have to
cap.
we have
Is
to get
this
you a beanie.
like, but I'm a Zoomer, so I can't, it has to be no cap.
Flat bill cap.
It would have to be a blue cap. That's no cap.
No,
No
cap.
cap.
No cap.
It has to say no on it.
No cap.
It's your no cap. Oh my. Yes, it's a dad joke. It's a Zoomer joke. I love it. Sorry.
Lane said, hi, Lydia. Love you on IRL. Keep pressing buttons.
I have found that like this job is so like we were considering switching up the format here for a while. It is very hard to both like do the show and like host and do the button pushing at the same time.
It's true.
Like having to talk all the time and push the buttons. Like I'm always just behind. Like, so I apologize for that. Like, Mary just finishes talking. Just as she finishes talking, I'm like, go to Mary's camera.
Mary. Oh, psych.
So
So I'm just like
yeah.
here awkwardly staring at the camera.
yeah, basically that's what it is.
It's
Like
fine because we don't know it.
everyone
okay.
here has gotten great looks on camera where they're like just made their point and now they're on camera.
Keep us
Yeah.
blissfully ignorant
Yes.
of that, please.
It's all good. No worries.
And you let everyone know where they can find you. Are you got any articles in the pipeline right now?
Like 3 that are all failing. Don't remind me.
Fair enough.
You got this.
You will find one you like eventually, and we will go there. I feel like the Adam Levine one is one you would like to write about.
Possibly.
It feels up your alley.
Yeah. I need to get out of my flop era and start slaying.
Yes, queen.
Yes, Queen.
No
slay.
more flopping. Let's go.
Oh, and there's one more.
I don't see it here.
From Nathan
Nathan,
Settlemyre.
yeah.
It says Mary in a cowboy hat.
Yes.
Oh.
Let's do it.
But I couldn't wear headphones that way.
It's fine.
We
Put it
have
over.
no on IRL. They have a no headphones. Right, there's a no headphones policy for
You're
people
allowed.
wearing cowboy hats.
Yeah, you
Oh,
don't
I
have
see.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
maybe
if your
that's
hat is
Make
part
a
of your
special
body.
exception.
Yeah.
and you Mary's not a huge fan of the headphones, so maybe that's your new workaround.
My out.
Once
Yeah.
you're out. Yeah.
She has to be Cowboy Mary.
I like that.
I feel like if I took my headphones off though, I'd like weirdly not be in camera, like
Show
on
mode?
camera mode,
Yeah,
show mode, and then I would say
possible.
something uncouth.
Let's
Thousand
find out.
Foot Deep End said, Brett, I love Uncrustables. Did Brett just implicate himself in
my
the eating of Taylor's
gosh.
Uncrustable a few months ago? I think he did.
Brett.
That sounds like the lady doth protest too much. No,
Right.
I get the far more disgusting like taco and pepperoni
I have
crustables.
seen the way this man eats. It is
Ew.
unsettling. He's
Yep.
a teenager at heart. It's
I
great.
am absolutely a teenager at heart. There's one more.
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, Lydia, happy you're hands-free now.
Thank you. Me too. I can't wait to write again.
And you get to. Is the show going to be easier now that your hand is better?
So one time I was trying to switch with my left hand, and I kept putting that purple chair that doesn't have that chair. We call
Yeah.
it purple because it's a purple band on it. That has no one in it. I kept putting that on screen, and everyone's like, "Chair, chair, cast IRL," and I was like, I created a hero on
That's
accident
funny.
because my left hand was so derpy.
it's
Carnell said, unbreaded is to be free of worldly cares and aspirations, to no longer give a ish, unburdened, unchained, free.
Unbothered.
That is you.
Moisturized.
It is me.
in
That
your
is
own
very
lane,
you. I am the
thriving.
opposite of
yes.
You're neurotic.
I'm.
You're breaded.
All good.
Well, yeah.
You guys have no idea how much it affected me the day I got labeled neurotic. I got labeled.
sorry.
I'm sorry
Was it
for
me?
making you
I'm
neurotic about the fact that you're,
You're
neurotic.
neurotic. Oh no.
It's a hell of a
You
life
gotta
to
know.
live.
You can't tell a neurotic person that they're neurotic.
Well,
that just sucks.
apparently, I never thought of myself as that, but apparently I am. Oh, there's one more from Caper2X.
Caper2X said, instead of headphones, try Princess Leia donuts.
Like the hair buns? That's cute.
I could try it.
You could do that.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Given as that I do not have long hair, would that take a long time to do?
Probably, yeah.
I used to do it. It wasn't too bad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How long?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it
All
depends on whether you braid it or not, whatever you want to do. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic. For the show, we are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would rather listen rather than watch, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, wherever fine podcasts are sold. We are also on social media. What? Is that funny to you?
Podcasts are not sold.
I know that,
I know,
but it's
that's
a joke.
Like, that's the
It's
joke.
a joke.
Yeah. What the
It's
heck?
an inside joke.
Fine.
There's one more there.
I don't see it yet.
Oh, no. This is terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to read that one.
Yeah, read it. It's hilarious.
Nah.
I'll read it. It says, it's from I Need to Stop Watching YouTube. It says, I also have been called erotic as well. No worries. We're not calling you erotic, Brett. We're calling you neurotic.
Well, they
which
did
is
call
less-
Adam Levine smoldering in that article earlier,
please.
so, bleh.
Right?
So you guys, if you would rather if you've done watching the show and you'd like to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at popculturecrisis, and on Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Mary is still laughing. What is so funny?
Blah.
Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.